Hello, everyone, and welcome to Living by the Law, the podcast discussing fictional worlds and how wondrous and ridiculous they are. My name is Matt, and I'm joined by my co-host, Jude and Guy.
Living by the Law is not currently sponsored. If you'd wish to sponsor us, write down your offer on a piece of paper, then rip it into 3 individual pieces. Take them to your nearest time travel temple and give one to your past self, one to your future self, and hold on to the last part. All 3 of you must recite the sponsorship 3 times in front of the mirror before you go to bed. We will hear you. We always do.
This episode will be discussing The Legend of Zelda's sprawling timeline, navigating time travel and multiple realities in one of the all-time classic video game series. Warning, this episode contains some spoilers for various games in the Zelda franchise.
So what about that snow map?
It's fucking coming down. I've never seen it. Actually, I do say that. I look outside now, and it was coming down literally 5 minutes ago, and now I can see the blue sky, and it's as sunny as ever. This is the weirdest weather I've ever had in my life. For context, guys, it's been snowing all morning, and it's been going flitting out of weather, and now I look at the sky, and it looks like one of the sunniest days we've had in a long time.
Actually, that's been the thing. Even in Melbourne, actually, it's been like, I swear I've been in a class, and while I'm in that class, just looking out my window, it's like, oh, it's cloudy, it's about to rain. 5 minutes later, oh, it's super sunny. Oh, it's.
I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's happening in the world right now, but
like, it's confused.
I had by the way, get knocked off their feet by a sign that was being pushed by the wind when I was working outside. The sign's on wheels, and it just went and just fucking cleaned them up.
No.
I'm just picturing the wind picking up, and the sign just.
Yeah, basically, that was about it. It was actually really funny. I'm surprised I didn't mention it to you guys.
For context, where I am, I'm at sea level, and it barely ever snows here, and we're in like September, so it should be getting warmer. It's the coldest day in September ever recorded, and so it's bloody snowing.
Well, at least global warming's good for something.
Yeah, good climate change. It's going both ways. Ooh.
Hey, you got to take the positives and the negatives. We might all die by the time we're 80.
Hey, if sea levels keep rising, at least I get a cool swimming pool in my front yard finally.
Yeah, well, you've been jealous of ours for so long, dude.
I've been jealous of your guys' swimming pools for all these years. I'm finally going to get
to sea level.
At sea level, isn't it? At sea level,
it's like
isn't it sitting in the harbour?
It's half in the water.
That's SeaWorld. It is in the sea.
Excellent. It's going to be more sea. No, I'm imagining it because if you know
more
SeaWorld.
Shut
up. It becomes Atlantis World.
Do they go up in product? Could they get more land or less land?
Could you? I wonder what the
Could they get more sea?
Safe work thing would be for like getting people in scuba suits to go through like the ruins of SeaWorld once it's entirely flooded. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Maybe
we could save the reef before we worry about SeaWorld.
Fuck that. SeaWorld's... I'm business minded. I'm thinking about my capitalistic opportunities. I think diving SeaWorld would be epic.
There is actually a book series I might do at some point. And it's a fantasy world, like super high fantasy, but it's set like a bunch of years in our future. So their fantasy world is like thousands of years after we've had a massive nuclear apocalypse. So in their fantasy world, you've got like elves and magic and stuff and dwarves and orcs.
Oh, yeah.
But then all of a sudden they'll find like these ancient mossy ruins of the Golden Gate Bridge, for example. And it's like, oh, that's them ancient ruins and stuff. And it's like,
I
imagine like the shit people would find as like a relic of art.
Yeah, I remember there was like old. I remember I read a book about like it was talking about ancient future like technologies. It was just talking about nuclear bombs, but they were like the magic of the past.
Yeah,
and, like,
yeah.
Like it's like they describe like our weaponry and our stuff like literal magic. 'Cause they didn't have any machines at this time. It's like it's really interesting. But what I was gonna say something. Oh, fuck, it's gone.
What are you talking about? So glad I'm doing a podcast with you.
How long can we keep Guy off of his episode?
Well, I was about to go and say
please
there's another
talking.
series that I've heard of that has some very interesting timelines and future series, which is the Zelda timeline. Welcome to the episode this week.
Yo, we've gone back in the time machine and we split into like multiple timelines.
Matt was stuck on the outside again in the TARDIS. He screamed.
We got sent to the
The
year 1
doctor's
trillion.
thrown us out.
Oh, we can't do that because we didn't end the last episode with that. So
Yeah, the doctor didn't take us away.
we got stuck in
We're
Pokemon.
still stuck in Pokemon?
Yeah, this version of us is another mentioned version of us. Obviously, the version of us from the last episode is still stuck in the Pokemon world.
Jesus.
Maybe the doctor didn't drop us in Pokemon World. He dropped us in Nintendo World, so we were able to kind of migrate to Zelda somehow.
I'd go to Nintendo World. Oh, but I remember what I was going to say before. It was like scuba diving. You're scuba diving at SeaWorld, right? And then the person. I'm going backwards. Okay?
I'm glad that we've got a good 5 minutes of just quality content.
And you're scuba diving at SeaWorld, and they're like, and if you look to your left, this is where they used to torture the whales and keep them in small enclosures. And this is where the dolphins used to drag kids underwater and nearly drown them. This is
Okay, guy, can you save us, please?
No, like, I kind of want to keep going with this topic, to be totally honest. I want, like, half an hour that we can release as a bonus episode and no one thinks of any the wiser. There's nothing in there that has any bearing on any other episode that we record. It's just fucking SeaWorld.
We make our own universe where we
there is actually one thing that I think I need to throw into this because I think it's amazing. If we're talking about the world going under and then people scuba diving and discovering it, there's a dude in Australia who has a fairly big YouTube channel. I'm not gonna spiel about his channel because he's not sponsoring us or anything.
About him.
But one of his aims is basically to produce historically accurate castles in Australia. Ooh. And he's bought the land. He's bought this huge area of land, and he's building the money to it. And it's insane what he's doing. But the thing that I love, if in thousands of years when people are excavating the ruins of Australia, what are these castles doing here? What? What? What is this European late medieval castle doing on the other side of the world, dated thousands of years after they were meant to have stopped being a thing?
That's the best bit about, like, you hear, like, because I was at a resort somewhere in Bali, and they, like, there's things of, like, oh, yeah, this used to be a village in, like, Thailand or something, and they fucking moved it. And it's like, what? Pardon? Excuse me? How do you do that?
It was like the London Bridge that got moved brick by brick.
They just move it. They just pick it up and move it. And also the other thing with current, like, architectural styles is it's like you look at everything and, like, people are like, ooh, I've got an 80s house. Ooh, I've got, like, deco modern, of, like, all this sort of shit where it's, like, combined styles. And it's like you've got, like, neat, sort of consistent styles-ish. And then it hits the 1990s and just gets fucked.
Yep.
I do hope one day in the future they'll look back on our society like thousands of years in the future and pick at least one fictional book and go, yes. So the unicorns used to be a very secure part of society, and
they're going to pick up pick up Lord of the Rings and think it was a Bible.
Oh, of course, as it should be. Yeah. And they're going to be. It's like us looking back on Egyptians, like, what the fuck was their obsession with cats? Mm-hmm. And it's going to be us, but just like furries or some shit like that.
Oh no! I think we were all furries.
Oh yeah.
Of course.
No. That we lived alongside the race of furries. Another race we lived alongside.
Fairies really are a whole other race, though. They're a subspecies.
And
we love them. And we love them for
They
it.
are the dominant species on planet Earth.
I'm actually going to fucking cry if I cannot get to this.
So, talking about furries, Zelda. How we going?
Absolutely.
Is Zelda a fairy?
Well, no, kind of. We'll get into it later. There are some.
I just thought
Oh.
of doing
No.
that.
There's not furries. There are featheries. And fishies.
That's even better.
Scalies, I think they're called. Legend of Zelda. The Zelda series is a group of 19 games and a bunch of comics and TV shows and stuff, which are created by Nintendo, who I think everybody should know by now.
Who?
The first game in the Zelda series was Legend of Zelda, which was made in 1987, which was like a top-down isometric adventure RPG where you played as Link, a hero from the kingdom of Hyrule. I'll get into the characters in a minute, but I'm just giving some background on how long the game series has kind of been going as a whole. The latest Zelda game from Nintendo was Breath of the Wild, and comparison to this top-down isometric pixel-based sort of thing is an open-world, 3D rendered, full variety of weapons and dialogue and ability, like fully fleshed-out game. I have the game, and it's amazing and beautiful. But the main point that I'm trying to get to here is that Zelda has been being produced for a really long time, and the creators have had way too long to work on it, which makes the timeline into what people in the biz would probably refer to as a fucking clusterfuck. It's really, really wild. It's really wild. To begin, we have to look at the Zelda monomyth. Almost every single game follows a very similar story at its core. Link is an elven boy, and he fights Ganon, who's a warlord turned demon type creature, to save a princess called Zelda, who is a princess of Hyrule, and also a mortal reincarnation of a goddess, which we'll get to in a minute.
Can I be completely honest with you, just to show how little I know about Zelda? I thought Zelda was the main protagonist, Green Hat Boy.
It is. A lot of people think that. No, that's totally fair. It's totally fair. So Zelda's the princess that Link saves. Right. So Link is the guy in the green cap. Yes.
Okay.
No, you fool. You fool.
You've fallen for the classic ruse.
I don't know Nintendo games very well.
That's
I'm
fine.
sorry.
Don't worry. You'll get plenty of education on this show with me.
It's dangerous to go alone.
Yeah, so the backstories and settings are different where they're fighting Ganon. They usually are like quite centered on the theme of the story, how the entire thing plays out. But it's often a very, very similar thing where Ganon is the villain, or Ganondorf, or Demise. We'll get to it. They're the same person. And then Zelda.
I've heard the name Ganondorf.
Ganondorf, yeah, we'll get to it. Don't worry.
He's in Super Smash Bros.
He is.
Yeah,
he is.
that's why I've heard of
There's a difference between Ganon and Ganondorf, by the way.
Okay.
What? What? There is. No. It's not something you would realize unless you look into the series, just because Ganon's so often used as a nickname for Ganondorf.
Right.
Well, this isn't even my final dwarf.
My final dwarf.
Nobody tosses a dwarf.
You're going to...
If there are any specifics that we need to get into with the timelines and lore, I'll go into it. But for most of the games, just kind of, if I don't go into it, assume Link fight Ganon to save Zelda. That's kind of it for most of it.
Okay.
Yeah,
what
easy.
does he fight them with? How does he fight
Swords and magic and
pretty much.
Just punch him.
Hey.
To begin this tale, we must go back to the creation of the world. What?
Nothing.
Fight me.
It was just a...
What?
I think just for people that can't see our wonderful cameras, as Matt very tenderly held up a little cracker to his mouth and started licking the flavouring off, Guy had his arms wide and was proudly proclaiming.
I'm glad I have such an enraptured audience.
Hashtag not sponsored, but I would be sponsored. Chicken crimpy shapes are the best shapes. I will
Shape,
fight
sponsor
anyone.
us already.
I will fight anyone who says otherwise.
In the beginning, there were 3 goddesses who were called Din, Naru, and Furore. They came from the heavens, and they made... Huh?
Furore.
Furore.
Okay.
Ferrari.
Don't worry, they don't come into it much. It's basically just the creation myth. It's like God. He has very little to do with current political climate. Well, that's actually... Well, no, people are inspired by that, but...
I was going to say.
Anyway, Din is the goddess of power, and she creates all the land masses. Naru is the goddess of wisdom, and she creates order and balance, sort of like the cycle of life, kind of like a Mother Nature type vibe. And then Furore is the goddess of courage, and she creates the inhabitants of this new world. These are the core sort of balancing virtues of the world. Why those were picked, I don't know. I'll get into it in a minute. As they finish making this world, they're like, cool, sick, done. And then they head on off. And as they head on off, they leave a article behind, or a artifact called the Triforce. The Triforce is one of the mainstays of the Zelda series and is one of the most iconic pieces of branding that you'll see out of the series. It's those 3 triangles that are stacked on top of each other.
I have seen that.
It's the Illuminati symbol.
It's a classic thing that you'll see tattooed on people's inner wrists as like a simple tattoo, because it's nice and simple and kind of easy to hide. It's not like you're tattooing Mario on your wrist.
Yeah,
it's,
yeah.
And
people that know, and people
precisely.
that don't think anything.
But it's
of
also
it.
not something you'd be embarrassed to have on there. You know, you don't got Pac-Man there. You just got some triangles. It's kind of neat. If nothing else, it looks like cool geometric art.
That's what I mean. Like, people don't realize.
It's very
Iconic.
Iconic. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. It's very iconic.
Triforce summary. The Triforce is an artifact, and it's one of the biggest brands. You can grant the wish of any mortal who touches it, provided They have a balance of the 3 virtues of the goddesses. They have to be powerful, they have to be wise, and they have to be courageous. They also have to possess a good heart, and apparently also be over the age of 12. We'll get to it.
Wait, what? The age restriction? Why is it 12? Wait.
It might be
Why is it
16.
12?
Don't worry, I'll get to it later. It's important in the
Also,
later games.
Can I just say?
No!
Are they just the Dragon Balls? There's 3 of them instead of 9?
They're not necessarily... They can be broken up into smaller pieces, so there aren't...
So they're just the Dragon Balls.
They're the European Dragon Balls.
Dragon
Chill out.
Balls?
Well, they're not even European. They're Japanese as well. Yeah, Japan's... Fuck. Yeah.
My brain's
They're just
broken.
Dragon Balls.
If anyone attempts...
Why does every a billion thing just make a wish? Like the thing
it's
about
a nice
wish,
catch-all.
the thing about wishing is that I don't know what I'd wish for. Like that's such a hard thing to think about. It's only one wish. You get 3 things. Like if you find one genie lamp, you get 3 wishes. If you find this, you have to find like 3 pieces to get 1 wish.
Well, no, you find it just grants wishes. It doesn't have a necessary, like, a number.
Limit.
Wait, it has infinite wishes?
It was
Oh,
given by the
shit.
3 goddess creators. If God left behind a fucking textbook that could give you infinite knowledge, then no one would really question it. It's
That's
just
a
a
good
thing.
point. Fucking infinite wishes. I'm fucking down now.
Yeah. Bad side. First of all, Triforce can't tell the difference between good and evil, which leads to some fuckery. You can kind of guess
Okay.
where that's going. Second of all,
Yep.
That's subjective. What is good and evil?
there is good and evil forces in this world, but that's okay. Other side of it, if someone without a balance of the 3 virtues tries to use the Triforce goes, fuck you, nope, and breaks into 3 pieces, which are the 3... they're called the Triforces of courage, wisdom, and... courage, wisdom, and strength. Or power. And why they're called the Triforces when the thing together is called the Triforce, I can't decipher. I don't know.
Yeah, the
I had to read a
forces that
fucking
make the force.
288 book fucking textbook to write this script. It was a pain in the ass.
Yeah, no. They're the Triforces which make up
The
the Force.
Triforces of the Triforce. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
the thing about it is it breaks into 3 pieces. The power piece will grant incredible strength. The wisdom one grants knowledge and wisdom. And the courage one grants courage, which is very vague in the way that they implement it. It's kind of, again, a catch-all for a lot of these things. As you can kind of see from the people that we have, from the monomyth, Ganondorf is power, Zelda is wisdom, and Link is courage. So during a lot of them, Link has the Triforce of courage, or during some of them, and it grants him some weird powers, including in one game where he just uses it to talk to ghosts. I don't know what that has to do with anything. Just does.
I mean, he's so courageous. He breaks through the barrier of life and death and just says, "Hey." It's like sending a risky text. He doesn't care. Like it's like sending that risky text. He's so courageous. He can talk to the dead. No, but like, can we just stop for a small second? You're like, one gives you infinite wisdom of the gods, infinite strength of the gods. One, hey, you're a little bit, you're courageous. Like alcohol gives you courage, but that doesn't give you smart.
It's truly one of the modern
It's not good
Triforces.
sometimes. Like I can do anything. Walks into a volcano. Like I feel like he's too confident.
So what's the modern Triforce? If beer's the Triforce of courage,
Strength is obviously protein.
I was thinking cocaine, but that's all right.
Cocaine. No, that's wisdom. And that's weed. Weed is cocaine.
Wisdom. So we've got weed, beer, and coke.
I mean,
Fucking sick.
Weed is knowledge. Weed is knowledge.
Yeah,
and
truly gain infinite
cocaine
knowledge.
is strength, obviously.
So,
Incredible.
My computer's trying to take off to Europe, I think. I don't know if you guys can hear the whoosh.
No, I actually can hear it a little bit.
I think
yeah.
it's trying to
Yeah,
shut us
yeah.
down.
Yeah.
Am I cool to continue?
Yeah.
All good. So all is well with this Triforce and the beings in the world until evil done strike, because that's what it always does. A creature called Demise, who is, according to the fucking book I was reading, according to the book are you okay?
I just nearly choked on.
Do I need to send one of your
cracker.
roommates to check on you?
I nearly choked on a chicken crimpy.
This is
so
why
Stop
you-
eating non-sponsored crimpies.
we love them, but they kill me.
Yep.
So Demise, who is in the book quoted as the evil of all evils, wants to take the Triforce and take over the world as evil do, because that's how evil do.
His name is Demise.
His name is Demise. He is basically the Demon King.
Little on the nose.
So he comes into the world and tries to wage war on Hylia. Hylia is the goddess who is entrusted with watching over the Triforce and kind of being the protector of the modern world, sort of like a nanny.
Was that our fourth goddess?
That's our fourth goddess, yes.
Okay, so did the other gods make this goddess so she could
Three
look after the
goddesses
world?
made the world and everything around it. The Order and Power one might have made it Hylia. It's not specific, but that's fine. They then fucked off, and then Hylia stayed behind to keep an eye on everything, and also
They
the
literally
Triforce.
just hired a nanny because they couldn't be fucked doing
Pretty
it
much.
themselves.
Pretty much. So, after a battle with the army, Hylia and the world's people are fighting against Demise, and they get pretty fucked up. So what Hylia does, big brain, she goes, I'm going to put all of the world's people, specifically people, weirdly enough, because there are other races in this world, but she just likes the Hylians, I don't know, sticks them on a bit of land, and then sends that piece of land into the sky. Logical.
Wait, what? Wait, he's like, so to protect you, I'm going to just levitate you into the sky. How do they get food? How do they
Dunno.
get water?
I think there's a
How
farm
do
on
they
there, I don't know.
survive? What about water?
It's a
Does it
place
rain
called-
up there?
I mean, it might. I don't know.
Are they above the clouds?
I think there's a spring. It's magic. Shut up.
Also, I can just appreciate Jude leaned forward so you could only see his like nose and mouth, and it looked the funniest thing. He's just like, you know, you could just see his nose and mouth above, and because we were just gauging his reaction from his face, you could just see a frown or a smile come across his mouth, and it was great.
Incredible. Skyloft is a bit of so Skyloft is the name of this piece of land. She
That makes
ripped
sense.
it up, chucked it into the sky, and then also protected it with a layer of clouds. You cannot
So it was
get
above
through.
the clouds.
So yeah, it's above
there's
a
no
layer.
rain.
There's multiple layers of clouds, Matthew.
Yeah,
true.
Yeah,
That's true.
okay.
So she put it above one, and also it's a magical layer of clouds that you can't get through, and also isn't there all the time. It's weird. Over thousands of years,
Shit
the
wall.
ground and the sky kind of forgot about each other, which is also totally wild. But
That's
it's
fair.
It's fine. There's also a part where some of the Hylians appear on the ground, so some Hylians must have figured out how to get down from Skyloft and then just not have been able to get back up. A lot of this is in it, like, this entire bit that I've just described is like one page of a 288-page fucking textbook on Zelda. I cannot be fucking bothered looking into this further. It's just accept it.
Well, I'd guess that like if they were for long enough, they'd forget about each other. But like they maybe the sky people like push off people with like parachutes. And they push them off, the bad people. So they like push off the plank, and they're like everyone thinks they died, but they actually survived.
Maybe.
So, the goddess Hylia has just sent them all up. Goddess cannot use the Triforce, and that's why she's one of the protectors of it. She can't abuse it. So Hylia entrusts the Triforce to a woman called Impa of the Sheikah tribe, and then she sends them up to Hyloft with it. So the Triforce is now in Skyloft, locked behind a barrier of cloud, and Hylia is cool to fuck around on the ground and not too much stress about the Triforce.
So she gave it to someone else to look after.
Yeah, but
What's with these people?
Imp is actually really cool, and the Sheikah tribe does a real good job of protecting the things that they're put in charge of. They're basically like the church, you know? Well,
Okay. Kind of.
kind of. A good church. Good ninja church, actually, to be fair.
Good ninja church.
The
We
good
love
ninja. Okay, we
So, in a final battle with Demise, Hylia triumphs and seals Demise away, which is kind of a common defense in a lot of Zelda things, sealing something away, however nondescript that is. It just kind of means they're not going to attack us for a bit. However, Hylia knows that the seal that she put on it is weak because it's her goddess one and not the Triforce's one. So, she wants to use the Triforce to seal him away for good, but she can't use it. As a solution, she goes, cool, I'm going to fucking kill myself, and then come back as a mortal girl called Zelda. So, she sacrificed herself to become the mortal to then seal Demise away for good. So, she's kind of circumventing the rules, but that's fine.
okay.
So
Zelda's pretty special. then,
Zelda's
in the
extremely
grand-
special.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's why she's the reincarnation of the god Hylia, because she comes back after that. So the thing is, it will take a while, so she does it, and then that doesn't immediately seal Demise away. It's kind of one of those race against times things where the game happens like just as the seal is weakening, because we all need drama. Because if it came back like 50 years before the Demise seal was going to break, then there would be no tension and no point of the story.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yes?
Oh, I was trying to get my head around it, but I'm trying to like I was trying to like think how, but that all makes sense. Like that all kind of makes it validates its own rules. I guess now a goddess can make itself human, but like that's like a sacrifice for a reward. It's a good
Sure.
like play. Also, it's just fucking started snowing again. It was literally sunny when we started
I'm
recording.
glad we're getting live updates on
It's
this
like
New
the
Zealand
snow's
weather.
coming down pretty heavily now.
God damn it.
Like, what the fuck?
We need to see if people can work out the location of your share house based on your descriptions of the weather.
That would not be good. Please do not. Do not find out where I live. I do not want anyone showing up to my house.
He lives just
It'll
down the
be
road
like-
from
it'll
the
be like-
Domino's.
No, don't say
You're like the
that.
locals. You remember we mentioned the locals, how they come and try to get in your window if you leave it open?
We are not. We are never.
One of our listeners already got into your house.
Well, yeah, he lived here. That's like I'm finding my flatmates getting into my house.
Are you though?
Kind of. It's interesting, but we're never. Well, we're not. Definitely not now. I mean, famous enough so people will actually try and track us down. I hope. I hope he'll never try and track us down.
Anyway,
Tell
around
us more.
the time of Demise's seal breaking, we turn to the first game, the actual first game where things take place, which is Skyward Sword, which was released in 2011. If you remember, the first game was released in 1987, so this is fucking long time down development. All of the stuff
so it was a
before
prequel
this
game.
was from, yeah, kind of, in a weird way.
Okay.
They kind of made up this timeline as they went along, I'm pretty sure. The first... most of the stuff from before this is from the Hyrule Historia, which is a book released, which is the 288-page textbook that I keep referring to. It's a monster. It's a chunky boy. Most of it's like concept art and stuff like that, but there's a really good, well, not a really good timeline, but a timeline in there that works. Okay, Skyward Sword. Demise is about to break the seal. Everything's going wild. There are a couple of parts to this. Around the time that happens, Zelda's born in Skyloft as a reincarnation of Hylia. So, we're good on that part.
She's here. She's here to save the day.
She's here. As part of that, she also grew up with Link, who is a knight in training. You know that green costume that he's wearing? That's knight's armor in Skyloft, which is kind of sick.
God.
It's beautiful. I love
It's
him.
so good.
He's like a little Robin Hood.
Yeah, fuck chainmail. I want to be a bush knight.
Oh yeah.
No freaking protection. Okay.
He's a scout. He lives in the forest. They just need to be snipe one good shot. They don't need fucking plate armor.
There is
Wouldn't
actually
hurt
there's
him to
multiple
wear-
reasons throughout the different reincarnations why he wears that armor. At one point, it's because he's the kid of a tree. Don't worry about it. I'll get to it.
All he needs is just to wear the tiniest piece of gambeson, and that would protect him so much. Anyway.
There are much more. If you look at the normal Zelda costume, there are much more grimdark ones, like Twilight Princess and stuff like that, where he actually does wear normal armor. But for most of it, it's sort of a goofy, wear the green armor, whatever.
Okay, I bet we'll get to the. I am questioning some parts, but I think you'll answer them. So
I'm
I'll
on
let you
page
go.
2 out of how many? 10. No, I'm on page 3 out of 10.
I'll let you keep going because
Okay.
you're on a roll.
Don't worry, we're all good. So, Link grew up there as a knight in training. He's got that green costume on. Next to the bad guy's side, we have Demise has created a follower called Girahim. Girahim is basically a real nasty wizard boy. He got grey skin and a real long tongue. It's kind of fucky.
So did he create
Oh.
him?
Kind of. He more, mind washed, enslaved him.
While
Whether
still
it-
locked up.
It's not, yeah. So it's one of those, the mind bleeding through the barrier type,
He's being corrupted from behind.
Precisely.
Cool.
As a wizard, he makes a tornado which sucks Zelda down through the cloud barrier off Skyloft and into the normal world, which is kind of what begins Skyward Sword.
Right.
Well-
Oh, because he's trying to get Skyward, and he's got a sword?
Yeah, he's trying to get down, actually.
He's trying to get that Skyward for Zelda.
So, people of Skyloft know
Also,
about the ground as a
can I say-
legend. Yes?
So Link is from Skyloft.
Yes.
Okay, I didn't ever do that.
Original Link is from Skyloft, yes.
Okay, so Zelda's been taken down from the Sky City, just her, by a magic tornado.
Yes.
She's got Dorothy.
Yes. She got Dorothy fucking
She
hard.
got Dorothy over the rainbow.
Legend
Under the rainbow,
says
actually.
that for the ground people that Skyloft exists, for Skyloft that the ground people exist. So they've got a vague idea what's going on. So what they do, they take Link, who's just graduated his knight training, and gives him the goddess sword, which is a sword that was placed in a what? What do you want?
Why did you give? Why him? Why not?
Because
Like
he's the
most
one who
experienced
just
guy?
graduated and he's Zelda's best friend.
He just graduated. That's my point. Like, not give you most
Because
experience.
he's the
dude.
best friend of the
And he's also a super
reincarnate.
sick
Yeah, I
knight.
wouldn't
Who
give-
cares?
I would rather like a CIA agent come find me if I
All of
kidnap
the
not you
knights-
guys.
All of the knights do get employed at some point or another. There's actually like combat that goes on and like knights that help you. It's not just Link being sent down like, oh, you're the one that graduated. Bye. Like, no, it's all of them do get employed at some point.
Yes, our princess got kidnapped. Our god princess got kidnapped. We shall send one child.
They don't know that she's a god, by the way.
Okay, how old is he, by the way?
17. In most of the Zelda series,
that's kind of reasonable.
He's sort of a teenager, young to oldish teenager.
We'll send one child to save the world.
So he picks up the goddess sword, which is a sword placed in on Skyloft by Hylia, and it has this magical power to it. It is eventually honed through some cool flames on the land into the Master Sword, which is another one of the main things of the Zelda series, which is that big fucking blue sword that you see all over the place, with the cool wings on the side. That's the goddess sword turned into the Master Sword. It's been honed. And,
sorry, I've just got my phone in front of me with some photos of Link because I'm just getting this all in my mind.
For sure.
So that sword does look pretty cool.
It is.
How does he upgrade it? Sorry.
They're in the game for Skyward Sword, I believe. Yeah.
How do you like? My question is, how do you upgrade a god sword?
There's like holy flames that he bathes them in to like shield them. It's the first time the goddess sword has been used, and later on it becomes like a mainstay relic. So it like he's upgrading it, and it's also used as like a magical key and a bunch of other shit. So
that makes sense.
It's like he's pulling out, like she was like, magical power into like a sword, and then he's actually turning it into like a usable weapon with like cool abilities and shit.
So when I'm piecing it together, because I know some of the games, I played a couple of them, not really properly. So the first game chronologically is not the first game they made.
Oh no.
So the first game chronologically is the one from 2011 we're talking about.
Yes, in the timeline. Yes,
in the timeline. That's what. Okay, cool. Cool. Continue.
Cool. So after this, they send Link down to the main world, and he then chases around with Zelda and stuff like that. Zelda, as it turns out, decides to do some time traveling to protect the world against the Demon King.
What? Wait.
The doctors beat us to it, guys.
This is not even the wildest part of the timeline. The wildest part of the timeline involves zero time travel.
She could time travel the entire time, and she didn't do it.
So no, she couldn't. So she uses a time like portal, like in the Temple of Time, to go back in time. The reason she does this is to strengthen the seal on Demise, to essentially give Link like an extra like month or so to.
Why not give him an extra billion years? Keep going back in time.
That's all that she can do.
Just keep doing it.
The original seal was created by a god, and she's just like a gifted mortal. So she's kind of like, helping a little bit. It's like a firefighter versus a dude with a bucket. Like, the dude with the bucket's gonna help, and if anything helps. But the firefighter's the main shit. If the firefighter's failing, the dude with the bucket can only do so much.
Okay, so she goes back in time. Does Zelda age?
No, she gets sealed in a crystal.
Fair enough. That's how you do it, guys. If you never want to age, just seal yourself in a crystal.
Yep.
Advice.
So,
you'd be like
it gets fuckier still. Wait for it. The time travel comes into it in a worse way. Just let me get to it.
Oh, God.
Okay.
Link finds out about the Triforce being on Skyloft. He goes back to Skyloft. He also tempers his blade during this time. He gets the Triforce.
How does he get back up there?
He has like a thing that he used to go up, and also the goddess sword lets him pass through the cloud barrier. So
perfect.
Yeah,
you answered my question perfectly.
Hey, listen, they may have fucky rules, but they've got answers.
They do have answers. That is true.
So Link finds the Triforce in the current day and uses it to kill Demise. Woohoo!
We did it.
He then lets Zelda out of the seal, and that's super sick, and everything looks all good until.
So he killed the god of evil.
Essentially, yeah. Until Girahim shows up and says, "Hey guys, did you forget? There's a fucking time portal here. I can go back in time and get Ganon out." So Girahim then goes back in time to get old Ganon out of that. Huh?
Wait, when did Ganon get introduced?
No, not Ganon. Demise. Sorry.
Demise. Okay. Yeah, I was just like, wait, Ganon's here?
It's all the same person. Don't worry about it. So Girahim then goes back in time to get Demise out of his old trap before Link killed him in the present. There's a lot of... This is the one game in the series where people argue about the time travel a lot because it doesn't make a lot of sense.
Right.
So yes.
So we went back and got the guy out of the trap. So the whole game is basically null and void.
Pretty much.
Okay.
So he does that, and then Link fucks him up anyway, and then seals him in the Master Sword, which is kind of cool.
Why not kill him again?
Well, he killed him, but he's a demonic force of evil. It's one of those sort of things where it's like he's an unkillable sort of horror.
Fair enough. Good.
However, as
You
Demise
can't
is
destroy
being
matter. You can only change its form.
precisely, so he's being sucked into the sword, and he should be relatively safe there forever. However, he's got one last fucky trick up his sleeve, and this explains one of the core tenets of the Zelda games.
Yeah.
Demise curses them before his death, promising that his evil spirit will haunt those with the blood of the goddess and the spirit of the hero. This sets into motion the cycle of good and evil that is seen in every Zelda game. The spirits from Zelda's creation story become the series' central characters, destined to play out different versions of the same struggle and continuously manifesting themselves, whether that be through reincarnation or just descent, into different versions of the same being. Demise is reincarnated as Ganon or Ganondorf. Hylia is reincarnated as Zelda, and the hero is reincarnated as Link. The hero, in my mind, sort of is like the three goddesses, and their courage and spirit sort of like the chosen hero of the humans. Thing.
Yeah.
So, okay, so do they remember what they remembered, or are they always called Link, Zelda, and things?
They are always called Link and Zelda.
Do they have memories? Do they have like feelings? They're like,
It's
I have, like,
it's a little
feeling of all
weird.
that.
So there are, and during this game, Zelda actually remembers her time as Hylia because she essentially becomes like a super prayer thing. Imagine if if you were a Christian and you prayed really fucking hard, you got divine memories and divine sort of powers. That's kind of what the Zelda series is about.
I'd be very Catholic.
No, precisely. But the other thing is that it's only specific, like, blood of the, goddess type people. So usually it's descendants or people who are of royal blood or stuff like that. So it's sort of, chosen hero type plus then literal years of devotion. In Breath of the Wild, we get a whole bunch of flashbacks to Link kind of guarding Zelda while she's literally walking around Hyrule just like, oh my fucking god, I hate praying so much. I need to keep praying, but nothing's happening. Oh my god, it's really funny.
Nice.
So yeah, so following Skyward Sword, a couple of things take place. Zelda seals the Sacred Realm. What?
I'm just thinking the curse is really interesting because like even though he's been shut away, he has the power to keep the curse going, which is interesting. Did it have any claws on it, or just forever it'll always happen?
It's the spirit of him and the spirit of Hylia fighting with the main pawn of Hylia being Link. It's just tied in there. It's
Right.
I imagine it sort of like becoming a cycle of nature. Like how natural forces sort of cycle over time. It's kind of inevitable that, it's like entropy.
It's like the Australian bush. Trees grow, trees burn down. They rejuvenate from the burnt down. They grow again.
And they also balance each other out, where Hylia and different times Hyrule as a kingdom becomes super powerful, and then Ganon comes and tears them down. But at the same time, when Ganon becomes powerful and creates super things, Hylia and Link will always come back to tear him down. It's kind of a natural cycle of regeneration.
And maybe is that also kind of, I mean, I'm sure it wasn't deliberate when they were making the game since 87 or whatever, but it also kind of gives a reason why Link may look slightly different in all of his different games.
Absolutely.
Because it's literally it is kind of still him, but also not him.
It allows for creative freedom while also giving them a real easy template to work with.
So you could say it's kind of like regenerating.
100%. 100%. Although,
Can't wait who's going to be the 13th Link.
That is fair because I'll get to it on some of the things later on, but there are times where like the actual spirit of Link departs the world, and yet Link still fucking exists for some reason. It's weird I'll get to it.
There is a I think it also reminds me of Harry Potter, where Lord Voldemort puts a curse on the job of Defense Against the Dark Arts. So after he got rejected of the job, no one can hold the job for more than a year. Just because he's just in spite.
Yeah.
Okay, so things happen after Skyward Sword. Zelda seals off the Sacred Realm, which is a sort of like holy power pocket dimension type thing, which is created by the gods. It's like if you think of like D&D, like the elemental planes, how they're like a little extra pocket planes around the main plane that sort of balance stuff out. The Sacred Realm is like the Triforce power zone. It's like a kind of holy copy of the world. It's like if the Sistine Chapel was a fucking pocket dimension.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just
Yeah.
can
Kind
I,
of like the Shadowfen, Shadowfell and the Feywild, that kind of thing.
Yeah, sure.
can I have a slight reminder? Did they use the Triforce at all? Have they used the Triforce? Or is it
Yes.
still trapped
So
in it?
Link used the Triforce to kill current day Ganon, and they
Okay.
used the Triforce again to kill him when he came back a second time.
So he went and got all the pieces of the Triforce.
Yes, they gathered all those parts together.
So
Also,
that's
it's
the
one of
thing
those
Skyward
things.
Sword that you're gathering the Triforce to defeat.
It's also
Right,
one of those
okay.
things where the Triforce isn't necessarily like an object that needs to be brought together. Quite often there are like possessors of it, so Ganon and Link and Zelda. And if they're all like together, the Triforce just fucking appears.
Right. Okay.
But who gets it?
It's just there. Ganon
So they
can't,
kind,
use,
so they,
Ganon
so
can't
they
use it
kind
because
of-
he's not courageous and wise
Yeah.
enough. I don't know what the fuck that means.
So why does he want it?
Okay.
Because he's reincarnations of himself and he doesn't have memories of it. He's always just an evil force who knows of the Triforce as a powerful weapon. He doesn't fucking learn his lesson.
Fair enough.
Hylia / Zelda is the only one that actually like learns about previous stuff other than like legend lore. Like she's the only one who gets divine memories. Other than that, Link's just like cool, sure. And Ganon's just like power. That's kind of the summary of it.
Okay.
Link just
So the three of them kind of are the Triforce in a sense.
That's the cycle
yeah.
and sort of the symbolism of that is
Yeah,
fairly
yeah,
recurring.
yeah.
One of the other things is that the actual
Wait, what was there was wisdom, courage,
and power.
oh yeah, so literally Ganon power, Zelda to wisdom,
Yeah,
and Link
yeah.
We said this
courage. Yeah,
before.
super clear.
Yeah, the other thing
Yeah,
to
yeah.
note is, as I kind of mentioned, the individual pieces of the Triforce give power. There are, like, the individual pieces of the Triforce give power in, like, a fucking insane way in some cases. Like, at one point, Ganon gets the Triforce of power and becomes a creature known as the Demon King. So, like, it's not something to be trifled with even if in its individual pieces. Like the Deathly Hallows, you know? Even together they're, like, incredible, but, like, by themselves, they're still fucking powerful.
Yeah, like the Elder one, how like all of the wielders were getting killed off because they're like, I fucking want that one.
Yeah.
I love how the one that can't lose always loses.
Yeah.
So, Zelda seals off the Sacred Realm with the Triforce in it away from the Meltal World. And it's just, they're basically like, fuck the Triforce, put it away. It's too dangerous. Second, she also banishes
agree.
some sorcerers who wanted the Triforce to the Twilight Realm. This is all... I'm reading articles, and I haven't played the games myself, like, a lot of them. So if any of this is too vague and I just don't know the answer, I'm sorry. It's just sort of a thing where it just sort of gives summaries in some of the documents.
Fair enough. No, they go to the Twilight Zone where that TV show.
So
takes
they
place. Makes sense.
she banishes a group of sorcerers to the Twilight Realm, and they wanted to get to the Sacred Realm to then take the Triforce for themselves. So just getting rid of another evil force that isn't Ganon. Third, with Demise gone, the surface is safe for humans, or Hylians, to descend from Skyloft, so that they can return to the surface world and establish the kingdom of Hyrule, which is the one that we see through most of the rest of the series. Another cool note, the Hyrule family crest is the Triforce, as well as the symbol for the goddess Hylia, and then some little kind of wings on the bottom. So it's kind of like a cool little combo symbol.
So did the city crash back to the ground?
No, didn't crash back to the ground. They just decided to come down. And also...
Can I get back home?
I think from my thought, I'm pretty sure that Link broke the seal using the Master Sword, so people can just get back and forth. And now that Demise is gone, it's not dangerous for them to. So I'm pretty sure Skyloft still chills up there. I don't know.
Instead of opening the door, he destroyed the wall.
One of the other things about the games in between, often there's like, it can be either the same Link, like back to back, or it can be like 100 to 1,000 years. And with that time, it's not like nothing moves. Skyloft, I'm pretty sure, crashes back to the ground at some point. It's just in between there somewhere.
Yeah.
Next game in the series is Minish Cap. Minish Cap doesn't have that much impact in the overall series, apart from the creation of the Four Sword. The Four Sword lets the wielder split into 4 copies of themselves, and it's very cool. There's also a very interesting little bit from Minish Cap, which is a guy called Vati, who's an evil demon. He shows up. He's a character. He's an enemy in a couple of the games. As I've said, it's not always specifically Ganon, Zelda, Link. It can be a little bit of a difference there, but it's usually Link, Zelda, evil, but Ganon's kind of behind it or there somewhere.
Okay.
You know, they like to mix it up a little bit. You know what I mean?
the Hyrule Historia gets kind of wild here because it kind of goes on a little tangent of weirdness, which it describes the Picori. The other thing to remember about all of this is that the original people who wrote it were Japanese, and so you've got to kind of pronounce it in a Japanese accent. So I'm not being racist; it's just kind of the easiest way to pronounce it. So the Picori Festival celebrates some cute little warriors who've done good for the kingdom. They sealed away evil forces using a real cool sword called the Picori sword and a power called the Light Force. What the fuck the background is for that, I don't know, but I copied and pasted Vati's description from that game into this document here because it's fucking funny. So the Hylians celebrate the Picori using with the Picori Festival, which happens every 100 years. During that, they get to see the Picori sword and it like touch it. It's like a super cool magic artifact. It's like if the original Bible was around and Christians had a cool contest to see who could touch it.
Cool.
For the 100th year of the Picori Festival, there was an unusually grand celebration in the customary sword fighting
thing where like they found the original Bibles or what they believed to be the original Bible.
Sure.
I haven't heard of it.
I need to check on that. Anyway, yeah.
For the 100th year of the Picori Festival, there was an unusually grand celebration. In the customary sword fighting tournament, an unknown man named Vati was the victor. Vati believed that the Light Force, so this super powerful thing, was in the bound chest, which is another artifact which is known to just sort of be a sealed bad thing, but could be a good thing. It's one of these things where there's a lot of time in between the games, so the artifacts just become sort of vague, and there could be anything sealed in there, and they're just known to be powerful. So the bound chest is just known to be powerful.
Yeah.
Vati believed the Light Force was in the bound chest. He broke the Picori blade to unseal the chest, which is linked because
He broke it. What a douchebag.
and found that it did not contain the Light Force after all. The evil that had been sealed inside the chest poured forward. Vati then turned Princess Zelda into stone and headed off in search of the Light Force. Which I think is fucking hilarious, because he shows up, he's like, I reckon the Light Force is in this chest, I'm going to win this sword fighting tournament. He fucking does it, snaps the sword, gets into the chest, the forces of evil are unleashed, he's like,
Fuck.
boop, and turns the Zelda to stone and just fucks off. Like, incredible. Amazing performance.
I think that was his backup plan, his B plan. He was like, everyone will love me. I don't care. They don't care that I broke the sword if I found the fucking Life Force. I'll be praised as a hero. And he's like, fuck. Plan B. Fuck.
Hell yeah.
Get out of here, boy.
During this game, Link gets the Minish Cap, which makes him real small, so he can chill out with the Picori, and he then figures out how to unstone Zelda. I don't know.
Is this the game where it's a
I love
tiny
unstoning
Link?
people.
Yeah.
Usually it
Okay,
just takes
cool.
time to unstone yourself.
Also, his cap is like a bird. It's weird as.
Sometimes sleep helps.
Is it, so what's the theory that they just came up with a really cute tiny Link asset and were like, how do we make this
It's
a game?
one of those things. So Minish Cap was made in 2004, and the game after it, which is a direct continuation, was made in 2002. So
They make it work.
they just make it work.
I like how,
What?
I like how it's a world where like random magic items can pop up every now and then. They
How-
just make up some new ones because like
Oh,
over
that's
time.
the coolest thing about the Force Sword. The Force Sword is in the Hyrule Historia. The document of like the textbook of Zelda basically just says, "Yeah, and the guy who made the Force Sword put it in a temple, and we don't know who he is, and he fucked off."
Hang on.
Go. What's up?
You said the continuation to the Mish Cap.
Yes.
Mish Cap? So the Mish Cap was released in 2004,
Yes.
but you said its continuation was released in 2002.
The one after
Yes.
it in the series. The one after it. So it's
Okay, so Mish Cap was a prequel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Sure.
God help me, this timeline is fucked.
It makes sense if you don't think about it.
I didn't say it was going to be a good episode.
I'm enjoying it so far.
So Four Swords comes around.
Hey,
it means nothing.
It all links together in the end.
I was thinking like there's always just a fuck ton of temples just fucking empty, and there's a magic item at the end. Who the fuck made all these fucking temples? And
Hylia, who knows?
and whoever made the water temple is a fucking prick. That's all I know.
It's good shit. Four Swords. Vati comes back and Link kills him, except he uses the Four Sword, which means that he's now 4 Links, so he can kick ass 4 times as quick.
Did he kill him? Does it say he killed him?
No.
Okay.
Nothing's ever dead in this universe.
Okay.
Everything comes back.
No one's ever truly gone.
Now we get to the game that fucks the timeline royally.
Yo,
This game is called Ocarina of Time and was released in 1998.
Oh god.
Oh yeah, well, I know this one.
The current state of Hyrule is fucky. Well, at the beginning of the lore of Ocarina of Time, there's a civil war going on, and the king quells it eventually. But during the time,
I love
of the
my civil wars in my kids' games.
Hell yeah! During that civil war, Ocarina of Time's version of Link is raised by the great Deku tree, who's kind of like a wise spirit in a tree, and the Koriki people, after his mum fucking dies and give her kid over to the tree with a mustache, because that's a cool place to leave it.
You know, that's on my that is also on my parents.
It's an absolute
wills.
5-head play.
On my parents' will, if they die, I'm also given over to a tree. Little known fact. They find the nearest oak tree and they just hand me over and see what happens.
The Great Deku Tree is a great and wise kind of spirit and being in the world. And when Link's mum is like, "Hey, take care of my kid," the Deku Tree goes, "Oh, cool," and like looks at Link and is like, "Oh, your spirit is entwined with the destiny of Hyrule. I will take care of you." So that's
also, if he wasn't designing history, it would just fucking like, "No, I don't take."
That's what's implied. It's weird as that they're like, yeah, he took it in because his spirit was entwined with the fate of Hyrule. It's like, would he have fucking not?
Like, no, I like that. Like, he resents Link's mom. Like, Link's mom's like, "Why? I'm a fucking tree. Why the fuck would you leave a kid with me?" But he looks at the kid and like, "Oh fuck, I have to do. I don't do child. Fuck, I need to actually do something here, or we're all gonna fucking die."
Okay. Zelda is also reborn. Around this time, and has divine power. She for most games, Zelda is the daughter of the king of the Hyrule royal family. So, so she's reborn, and she has divine power, as you know, royal blood, as I mentioned before, which comes through in the form of prophetic visions. During one of these visions, she finds out a dark secret about a leader of one of the non-human tribes who has sworn loyalty to the king.
Right.
His name's Ganondorf.
Surely someone throughout some historian in the Zelda universe will start tracking the Ganondorfs, going, any guys with the name
Ganondorf hasn't occurred up until now. This is the first edition of Ganondorf.
But eventually they'll be like, fuck, this guy's named Ganondorf. Should we trust him?
It is literally just the exact same image, but he's got like a little fake mustache on.
He's got
what do you mean, guys?
We're looking at like the old painting of him, like, No, I think he's just literally the same. He's the same guy who has a mustache. We should trust him. We should trust.
It was like when it was hinted that maybe, Gary Obama was going to run for the U.S. presidency. Ganondorf, who is Demai's spirit reincarnated as a Gerudo man. I'll get to the rest in a little bit. It's kind of a little bit wild. Curses the Great Deku Tree in an attempt to steal one of the 3 spiritual stones. A lot of these relics I'm going to kind of brush over because mostly you can just assume they're kind of cool relics or they're just cool rocks. So he curses the Great Deku Tree in an attempt to steal one of the 3 spiritual stones from it, needed to access the Master Sword, which will allow him to break the seal into the Sacred Realm. So, the Master Sword is currently sealing the lock of the Sacred Realm, which is where the Triforce is. The Sacred Stones are needed to get into the temple where the Master Sword is to do the thing. It's very much an RPG. It's very much a fetch quest.
Who put all this together? Who got the stones? Who got the Master Sword? Put it in the temple, locked all the stones, and then gave the fucking stones to a tree to look after. Who did all this?
Who did this? I actually had a look in as well. I was like, surely, like, they're called, like, the spiritual stones. Surely they're, like... No, they're just stones. They're just stones, God.
Yo,
they're literally just stones.
This is the greatest thing. Like I love that. I love how you can say a sentence like that and actually be right. And then if someone listening to just that sentence just there, they'll be like, "What the fuck are you even fucking talking about?" It's just gibberish. That's what I love about this.
I'll also say this part of the timeline: Ocarina of Time, 1998, 4 Swords. The one before it, 2002. The one before it, 2004. The one before that, Skyward Sword, 2011. So they built backwards.
Oh, yeah.
It's all just prequels, baby.
It's the easiest way to build backwards. You know what happens. You know what you set up. Mm-hmm. You know what you got to set up.
100%.
But who? I still wanted my answer. Who put the sword? Who put all this together?
We're about to get to some more fucky shit. Just give it a minute. All right. In an effort to thwart him, Link and Zelda unwittingly assist Ganondorf because Link collects all the stones of power to get himself the Master Sword, and as soon as he goes to get the Master Sword, he gets frozen. Because in this version of Ocarina of Time, Link's 9 years old.
What?
I know.
So he's too young to do better than the fucking god demon of hell.
So he gets frozen, and Ganondorf then goes, cool. Thanks. Walks in, uses the Master Sword to break open the Sacred Realm, and then just fucking goes in there.
It's like that whole thing. It's like, ho, 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 traveler. Thanks for getting the
Staff of Magnus for me.
Yes, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, thanks for getting the Stones of Destiny for me. Guess I'll be taking that now. I'm just quoting like a really funny YouTube clip that it's the greatest thing because it's something from Skyrim where they were the person was because he knew RPGs was just like
Matt, it's okay.
Oh, we don't need to explain it. I'll just leave it.
Okay.
It's a cool skit. Look it on YouTube.
Go watch Sips.
Unfortunately for Ganondorf, when he tries to use the Triforce, it breaks. So fortunately for us,
because he's not.
Because he's not balanced.
Not good.
So the hero fucking failed.
Yeah, the hero failed in this bit.
And
At least, this is only the first half of the game.
Shit.
Right.
There's a full another half of the game we've got to get through.
Oh, shit.
So, Ganondorf tries to use it, which is unfortunate for us. Fortunately for us, it's shattered. Unfortunately for us, that left him with the Triforce of Power, which did turn him into the Demon King, which allowed him to turn the whole of the Sacred Realm into a much cooler place called the Nightmare Realm.
Prefer it.
Yeah. So Link could have totally fucked him up. But because he's actually the hero of time. He's entwined with the destiny of the thing. It's just that Ganondorf kind of got there too early. This is one of those few stories where actually, in this case, the villain's nice and early. So they're like, hey, he's 9. So let's seal him in a bit of the Sacred Realm. No, I got so fucking confused during my research because it says that Ganondorf goes in and turns it into the Nightmare Realm, but also Link gets sealed in the Sacred Realm for the 7 years. Which doesn't make a lot of sense, but apparently there's like a bit of the Sacred Realm which is chill and the rest of it's all fucked up. I couldn't get a clear answer. It's fine.
Okay,
sure.
So
we'll go with it.
He's a 9-year-old, so I wouldn't put the world's fucking shoulders on the world.
100%. So they decide, hey, 7 years is pretty sick. He'll be 16 by then. That makes him legally an adult in Hyrule, so that'll be cool. So they seal him in there for 7 years. That also seals Ganondorf away. So Link's sealed in there. Ganondorf takes over the Sacred Realm, and Zelda is left outside. She uses the time that she knows she's got 7 years, so she becomes a ninja. And that's totally sick. That's where Sheik comes from. So if you've seen Sheik in Smash Bros or anything like that, that is an alternative version of Zelda where she trained with the Sheikah tribe. So that's kind of cool.
I would also become a ninja if I had.
You got 7 years to just kind of fuck around.
Just do what you want
as well.
Yeah, you got to battle the fucking demon gods, so you might as well become a ninja.
You might as well get pretty ninja. Exactly. Yeah, so that's kind of cool. So as he wakes up, give me a sec. So Link wakes up after 7 years. As he equips the sword that he's now allowed to use, Sheik, who he doesn't know is Zelda at the time, says to him that he has to collect the 6 MacGuffins, which are the Sage's medallions, because don't they fucking all?
This is every game. Every game. Collect the 6, the 3, 6, 5, or 12 MacGuffins, and then open the Master Sword and get the Triforce.
I'm going to go quick fire on this because I'm also going to go over some races. Yeah. So, 6 MacGuffins. First one is from Rauru, who is the spirit of the Sage of Light. Link gets this literally as soon as he wakes up. So, it's kind of a gimme, but that's fine.
He tried really hard.
Second one, Saria, is the Sage of the Forest. Link has to beat Spooky Ganon. It's called Spirit Ganon. Basically, it's just Ganon, but made of bones.
Yeah. Dry Bowser.
Which he left to defend the Forest Temple.
He left his bones. So he has no bones anymore.
Of course. Third medallion is Darudanya, who is a Goron and is the Sage of Fire. Link kills a dragon-type creature who's eating all the Gorons. The Gerudo people, solid move.
Fair enough.
The Gerudo people, okay, I'm also going to intersperse this with some race talk. Gerudos are one of the races in Legend of Zelda, in Zelda series. They're basically, like if you turned a fucking rock into a dude, they're real round and they're totally resistant to heat. Usually they'll chill out on a big volcano that's a mainstay through the series.
Geodude?
Kinda, yeah.
Nice.
Like a Geodude with pants.
Geodude. Geodude.
Yeah, and they all chill out on a big hot volcano. And they're real cool guys. They're usually very chill and very sort of like, that kind of NPC type character.
Geodude.
Yeah, precisely.
Geodude?
Okay. You get it. Next one, number 4.
They're the really friendly dude at uni party that offers you alcohol when you didn't have any. You know?
Oh, those are the best.
Oh yeah, bro. Yeah. Prince Ruto, who is a Zora, and is the Sage of Water. Link kills a water snake in the water temple. Nice. That's all good. The Zora are fish people. So essentially, take a person, turn them blue, give them scales. That's it. The only
That's kind of terrifying, but awesome.
It's fine. Yeah, it's kind of Lovecraftian, but in the Zelda universe, it's fine.
Yeah.
They're just sort of gifted swimmers.
Because it's cartoony.
Chill. Yeah, absolutely. There is one thing that I thought was very funny, which is noted on the wiki, which is that it seems for some reason that either the royal blood or leaders of the community just get real fucking big. And I don't know why that is. It's just that all of the kings and the leaders and stuff are just fucking huge. I don't know why that is. They're all apparently part of the same race.
Okay.
Who the fuck knows?
Interesting.
They just have cool genes. Good genes.
Yeah, good genes.
Maybe.
Number 5 is Impa, who, remember, was the guardian of the Triforce. She's not the same one. She's a descendant, I think. Because the Sheikah tribe has, like, the title of Impa, I think, that gets passed down.
That makes sense. Like you find that in in history as well. Like a name and what was once a name gets passed down as a title afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Impa is the Sage of Shadow. Things get a little fucky here. I kind of laughed at this one. So for the Sage of Shadow, and to get the Shadow Medallion, Link kills a demon creature from hell called Bongo Bongo in a graveyard in a well.
Bongo bongo.
Bongo Bongo.
In a graveyard in a well.
That sounds funny. If you look up a fucking image of Bongo Bongo, it is horrifying. It is a horrifying creature.
Bongo bongo.
Oh my god.
Just type in Bongo Bongo Zelda.
Bongo bongo Zelda. It's the fourth thing that comes up. Holy fuck.
Yeah, I know.
Oh my god. Why is he? Why are his hands
that's
decapitated?
awesome.
I don't know.
Holy.
I was just looking at some other images of the races to get it because I've never seen
hate-
anything about this game, and this is very not on par with what I
Why
just
is
saw
it so
before.
veiny?
Yeah, there's a lot of like Zelda bosses that are really fucking weird and kind of spooky.
For anyone,
I see what you mean by kind of like slightly Lovecraftian in a sense.
It's like a imagine a human torso hanging down from the ceiling, but it's got blacky grey skin with he's fucking ripped. He's fucking ripped muscles and really big veins. And when you get to the end, when you get to his wrist, his hands are just decapitated and like a meter out from his wrists.
Floating.
And he's got like a Stranger Things monster head.
Yeah, so his spine is fucking like looks like it's metallic spine, and his head's just a fucking flower with like a fucking looks like a fucking laser beam coming out the middle.
It's sick.
Holy shit, that's horrifying.
Yeah,
So
so
Link-
Bongo,
yeah.
and it's called Bongo Bongo,
Bongo
which I
Bongo.
kind of love. There's some fan theories about him being a true seer who was either killed during a civil war or killed because he didn't follow, like he had like a heretical like belief system, because there are like divine visions like Zelda gets, but he could apparently like see 100% the truth all the time and was like this. It's weird. This was all on like the speculation part of the wiki, but I fucking love it. It's
Yeah.
Sometimes Zelda just goes like, fuck it, boosh, and just like does weird shit.
No, I love speculation from the fan base with putting
yeah.
hints together. It's good fun.
Hell yeah. The final one, the 6th medallion, was from Naruboru. Naboru.
Naboru?
Nabororu.
Naboloro. Yes.
And she's a Gerudo, which she's the Sage of Spirit. And for this one, Link kills, and I shit you not, Ganon's mums.
Wait, mums?
I'll get to it. So, Ganon is a Gerudo, as is the Sage of Spirit.
Yeah.
And they are part of a race called the Gerudo. The Gerudo are, in different games, seen as different sort of cultures. Often, in the earlier ones, they're seen as like a thief culture. But when you have them in later games, like Breath of the Wild, they're just seen as a very strong, upstanding sort of warrior race. The thing is that they are born all female, apart from one male born every 100 years. The reproduction cycle of it is not specified ever, although it's kind of hinted that they basically just crossbreed with Hylians, which is why they have pointy ears. By the way, Hylians are basically like half-elves.
Okay.
And so they kind of crossbreed.
I don't know. I think it sounds like Matt's dream being the one dude born, but anyway.
And there's one dude born every 100 years, and like he's often the king, and it's kind of weird in how that sort of society works out. But
No, I've heard societies that from books that are similar to that. Like it's really interesting. But like when you said it's mums, I was picturing like lesbian mums looking after Ganondorf, and I'm like, that's amazing. And Link, why did Link have to kill? How many did he kill?
What?
He said he killed mums. How many?
2.
Oh, just 2.
mums.
Okay, just 2.
Just 2.
So he did have lesbian mums. So
He did have
Ganondorf had
lesbian
lesbian mums, and fucking Link killed them.
It wasn't like a conclave of mums.
No.
Link,
he had an ice mum and a fire mum.
So-
And there's
Oh,
actually
that's awesome.
there's a quote from it which says that they're very proud of what he's doing and they support his cause.
Oh, they're just proud mums. They don't want to be against their son.
They are also witches,
But
and
they love their
super
son.
duper try to kill you.
They love their son, and Link is coming into their home and killing them. I think they're the good guy. Link's against lesbianism. I think. Look at that. Look at that. He just killed like the one. Well, I don't know how.
Is the word you're looking for homophobic?
Yeah, that's the word. I'm very
He's a gay hating motherfucker.
Link is the one lesbian characters we've seen so far that we know of. I don't know if we've skipped over, but it's obvious that we've seen so far. Link's killed. So come on, Link.
Yeah.
They might be trying to take over the world, but they're just proud of their son. Come on.
Yeah. The only other race which I'll mention here are the Rito, who are bird people essentially. They're similar to the Zora in the terms of like they've got like the animal thing on their arms, and most of the rest of them is sort
Right,
of
you
normal.
had how you said at the start there were featheries and scalies.
Featheries and scalies. The scalies are the Zora, the featheries are the Rito. They have to like take a scale off a great dragon or something to get their wings, although I'm not sure whether that's just legend or if that's literal. But yeah, and then they grow wings and they've got like a bird beak and possibly bird feet, although it's speculated that might just be feet wraps that are yellow. Because you know how like chicken legs have got that sort of like spirally yellow thing.
So like,
I get you.
did one person, just one of like the normal people, just some one day fuck, or were these creatures already around from the start? Like,
I have no idea.
Fuck a
I
fish and then
suspect.
fuck
I think that they were created at the beginning.
Yeah, it makes sense.
As
Well,
like
all
part
of these
the-
races. So the first game, well, not one of the later games, but first story game, Skyward Sword. That were all of these races in that one.
Yes, so you
Okay,
descend to Earth, and all of them are down there. Only Hylian's on Skyloft, all the other races down on the ground. Why that discrepancy is made, I have no idea.
Favoritism.
That's
from the
yours, Joe.
gods.
Oh, 100%. I mean, you always hear about heaven being full of people. Where are the dogs?
You also.
Oh, the dogs are above.
Dogs are.
Well, I wouldn't.
Dogs are in super heaven.
I wouldn't show these people as examined to dogs. I'd say it's more like the Jewish people were seen as like the chosen people of God, and every other people were just going to be left out of heaven. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
like a
getting
chosen
back
people.
to the main game, though, we have Link now has all the cool medallions from
He's
all
done
different
it.
people.
Woo.
He's done it.
He
With
got the
this,
MacGuffins.
Zelda reveals who she is, and that she has the Triforce of Wisdom, and that Link has had the Triforce of Courage all along.
The courage was
And-
the friendship we made along the
100%.
way.
And so with this, Link finally gets his big reward of Ganondorf stealing Zelda and taking her to his castle in the Nightmare Realm.
Great.
Oh,
reward.
lovely.
Great. Reward.
Great reward. Great. So such sick. The idea behind this for Ganon is to create a final battle between him and Link where Zelda's there as well. So that way, Triforce is going to be remade. So that way he has another
Yeah.
chance to nick it because
Yeah.
maybe
Doesn't
he's
he
had
already
more
know he
time
can't
to work.
use
No, but maybe he's had more time in the Nightmare Realm to work on his power and wisdom. Who fuck knows?
Yeah, he's been
not
studying
power,
up.
courage and
He's
wisdom.
been studying up, and he's been trying to face his fears. He's scared of spiders.
He watched a bunch of horror movies
Yeah.
and read a bunch of books.
Yeah, he's been braining out in the Nightmare Realm.
So this is to create the final battle. Link uses the 6 seals to break through the barrier into Ganondorf's castle, and then the final battle begins. And I'm going to bookmark right here. I'm not going to explain why that is. I'll get back to it later.
Oh, no,
okay.
I know what it is. But
Shush. When Link wins, so Link defeats Ganondorf, and he can either use the Temple of Time to stay as an adult or return to being a child, where he regains the childhood he lost.
Lovely.
So the timeline gets. This is where the first split. There are 3 branches of the timeline. This is where the first split happens. So either way, something interesting is that he will go back to being a child regardless. That happens at the end of Ocarina of Time, so that he can relive his lost childhood. But the two timelines are of the child timeline Link, where he goes back and lives out his child timeline, and then it continues from there, versus the adult timeline, which is where he left behind, where there is no spirit of Link, and Ganondorf is defeated. And it's just the world left behind.
That's the nice timeline.
I kind of. No, because the other thing to remember is that the Nightmare Realm is still a thing.
He hasn't fixed what fucked up.
In the child timeline, he goes back to living as a child, and Ganondorf didn't come to take power originally, so he's just not he's not defeated, but he's not taken over either.
Right.
So it's like a ruined post World War II London versus a World War II London where pre World War II, but the Nazis haven't been defeated, but they're also not going to invade yet. They're just sort of there.
No one stopped them,
not a
but
worry.
they're not going to do what they were going to do.
So it's kind of that comparison of the big bad's gone, but there's also a whole bunch of destruction versus, everything's fine, but the big bad's also still there.
Did we learn more from World War II, or should we stop it from happening altogether? Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've got two timelines now.
Two timelines. First timeline, Child Link in Majora's Mask is the first one.
I've heard
Operator
that
of
name.
Time Link leaves Hyrule. Fucks off.
Of course he does.
On a search for his fairy friend, Navi, who departed at the end of Ocarina of Time. So he has, through Ocarina of Time, a little fairy called Navi that follows him around. Hey, listen, classic of the thing. Super annoying. It doesn't make a massive impact to the lore, so I didn't really mention it. Sorry. Navi was there, trust me.
We love him.
So in Majora's Mask, Link goes to chase down Navi, who departed at the end of Ocarina of Time, and he arrives in a land called Termina, which he meets a weird spirit character called Skull Kid, who is intent on bringing the moon down upon the world. During this game, Link gets
love that name, Skull Kid.
Skull Kid,
That's such
yeah.
a cool name.
During this time, Link basically gets stuck in a time loop, trying to get the perfect loop of getting
Skull
powers.
Kid, I've come to bargain.
100%. Yeah, no, that's exactly what it is.
Does he
is
trap
him
himself
going
in
through?
it? Or does...
Yeah, he does. He has so the Ocarina of Time is
Literally
like a little
Doctor
time
Strange.
flute that he can use to reverse time.
Well, Ocarina.
So what you're telling me is Doctor Strange stole from Ocarina.
Majora's Mask was written in 2000, so
Yes.
Yeah.
we'll see when that timeline was written. The movie wasn't the first one to do it, was it?
Was it?
I imagine the time stone time loop probably happened in the comics at some
probably
point.
once,
That's
but
what I'm
not the
thinking.
way they
Yeah.
did it. Probably.
But also, was it before 2000?
Probably.
Because that movie wasn't released till 2000.
Yeah, but the comics have been around for a long
16.
time. Doctor Strange.
Yeah, but when was that? Because did they do the comic? Anyway, so yeah, there's not too much that actually bears anything onto the main part of the timeline, and I also kind of want to leave it a little bit vague because it's one of the few games that I reckon I could do a full episode on, because it's fucking wild.
Nice.
So he arrives in Termina, he stops the moon from falling after a whole bunch of time loops, and he then wanders off at the end, not like being celebrated, just sort of a nameless hero. It's really fucking sad. Majora's Mask is different, like a lot of the Zelda games differ in their tone versus like the little happy like 8-bit thing versus like, the heroic Skyward Sword versus Majora's Mask, which basically makes you do a time loop, die over and over, and then at the end stop a town from being destroyed against this like giant moon with a face, and then he just wanders off at the end.
So, question. So this is like
Yes.
one of the things where he's not versing Ganondorf.
Yes.
Okay.
Zelda's also not there, so again,
just
it
like-
differs from that in the terms of like the actual. The heroes of this story exist outside of their monomyth. They're not just made for this
Yeah.
thing. They are independent characters. And
Yeah,
this is an
okay.
example
This
of a
is
time
this
where-
is Link's like gap year. He's gone on a
yeah,
gap
100%.
year.
Yeah.
Gone over
Zelda went to explore. Ganondorf was studying.
Yeah.
Link saved a town.
Saved
you know?
he just did it on his way, Hero
100%,
work.
yeah. It's a side quest. Although he never, and then at the end we actually, there's a bit later in Twilight Princess, which is the next game I'll get into, where we see that Link's ghost, because it's like 100 years later. So it's not exactly sad, it's just kind of a thing.
Fair enough.
Okay. Twilight Princess. Although he never rose to power, the jump back in time at Ocarina of Time's conclusion meant that the game's Ganondorf lived to see the events of Twilight Princess, so Ganondorf wasn't defeated. The 7 sages, which are the 6 sages I mentioned plus Zelda, were aware of the evil spirit and his, as it's written on the wiki, future timeline crimes, which is sick.
His future crimes.
His future crimes. So they attempted to execute him, but
Whoa.
yeah, hey, it's the Hitler baby time travel.
Yeah,
thing.
would you kill someone if you knew they were going to commit a crime?
100%. But here's the good part. The gods had granted Ganondorf the Triforce of Power, enabling him to survive the execution, and the sages were instead forced to banish him to the Twilight Realm.
who did
which is
that?
Similar. Huh?
Who did that? Who did that? Who gave him
The sages. The 7 sages.
who gave him the Triforce of Power?
The gods.
Why?
Because he's a
'Cause they
baby.
For fuck's sake, these gods are the worst.
It's so funny. It's so
They
good.
only
Again,
intervene
as said,
to
the
fuck shit
Triforce
up.
doesn't know the difference between good and evil.
Yeah,
It just is.
does.
I still think these gods are enjoying this and they want to keep it
Oh,
going.
no shit, dog.
They're fucking. They're like fucking chess players, just trying to have fun with it.
Let me let you in on a secret. The gods are actually Nintendo, and Nintendo want to keep making games.
Shit, you're real. That's true.
What's that you're trying, sages? Nah, Ganondorf can use the Triforce.
Incredible. So Ganondorf gets banished to the Twilight Realm, which is another pocket dimension. Just accept it. There's a whole bunch of pocket dimensions.
Nice.
They're
Yep.
usually fairly not impactful. They're just powerful little realms inside areas. So he gets banished to the Twilight Realm. There, Ganondorf grants his powers to a Twilight Princess villain, the Twilight Princess villain, who's called Zant, who is a descendant of the sorcerers that Zelda banished to the Twilight Realm in Skyward Sword. If you remember that group of sorcerers that was banished here, he's one of their descendants. So he's big Ganondorf fan, big fan of getting the Triforce, and, super fucking hates Hyrule because all of his ancestors got banished from there to this realm.
Fair.
Zant takes the throne in Twilight Realm from Princess Minda, who is the Twilight Princess, who then travels to Hyrule and asks for Link's assistance because she knows that he did a good job last time. The two then defeat the invading Twilight Realm beasts who Zant is summoning, and also Ganondorf, because he's the one who gave Zant his powers in the first place, and Minda shatters the Mirror of Twilight, which is the gate between the two realms.
Shame.
So basically, it's kind of a wrap-up of the Twilight Realm, and again, even though it's not specifically the exact same thing, it's still the pattern of evil inspired by Ganondorf or demise, Link, the hero, and Zelda, princess-type royal blood-esque, Hylian god descendant, same cycle. So yeah, and then the last game is kind of tacked on there. Four Swords Adventures, 2004. Long after Twilight Princess, another Ganondorf is reincarnated. Here we go again. He uses the Dark Mirror, which is different from the Mirror of Twilight, which was shattered at the end of the last game, to create an army of demons.
Is this the same
Causing-
timeline? Same timeline?
Same timeline. 100 years
Did
later.
Link get trapped in the Twilight Realm, or did he get back?
Doesn't matter. It's 100 years later.
Sure. It's different.
But, he can die in either. That's the thing. It's not exactly always a descendant thing. It's usually just like a spirit of like the hero of the people, or the great knight, or the it's a generic thing.
Fair enough.
So he used the Dark Mirror to create an army of demons, which causes Link to set the demon Vati from Minish Cap free when he draws the Four Sword, because Vati at the end of Minish Cap was sealed into the Four Sword, similar to how Ganondorf got sealed into the Master Sword. And he accidentally sets him free. Link then goes and kills Vati again, and also seals Ganondorf again.
Nice.
Which is the end of that timeline.
Good job. He did it. He won.
A lot of these timelines are sort of like, I can go there. It feels very thrown together, but it works in terms of like at the end of this, Vati's destroyed and Ganondorf is sealed again. There's probably more that continues on from here.
Yeah.
All right. Swing across. Adult Link.
Timeline 2.
This I've stolen from the wiki. The hero triumphant adult timeline is a bit misleading. Since Link is always sent back to his childhood at the end of Ocarina of Time, there's no version of the story where adult Link carries on defeating Ganondorf. Rather, the adult timeline explores what happens to the reality that adult Link left behind, the one where Ganondorf corrupted Hyrule but was sealed in the Sacred Realm, where there's no more hero to be reincarnated. So Link doesn't... The spirit's gone with Link. It's kind of weird.
But here comes
Because
Link.
he's now in a different timeline. Yeah. So, we now have the Wind Waker. With Link returning to his childhood in a different reality, the hero's spirit ceases to be passed down to other Links, so there's no one to stop Ganon from escaping from the Sacred Realm.
What did you say this game was called, sorry?
This game's called Wind Waker.
Which year is this one?
2002.
2002.
Okay, so wait, there's no link, so he just escapes.
Okay.
So
there was
he just
there was
gets
multiple games in 2002 then.
Yeah, I think so. 2002
Shit,
GameCube,
okay.
2004, 2000. No, I think there's 2 years between a couple. Oh, Four Swords on Game Boy Advance was released in 2002 as well.
Yeah, okay.
I think that's
nice.
the only one. But yeah. There's usually a year or two. Sometimes they'll release 2 games, but usually they're on different consoles.
Yeah, right, okay. So that's why it's different timelines. It's like, this is the Game Boy timeline. This is
It's also just because they don't really give a fuck.
I think they made...
I think they do. Apparently, there was like a sealed document that all the Hyrule Historia was before it came out as the Hyrule Historia. It was like a sealed Nintendo document, but how predicted that was and where they decided to make this all into one cohesive thing.
Yeah.
I think that there was probably someone who was given the task of putting these together into a cohesive line and had to write some bits either side of them to sort of...
They got to like 10 games, they're like, oh shit, we should probably kind of like put these together somehow, because the
Had to throw some adapters
fans
on the
kind of like
wires.
asking questions. So they gave it to the intern. The intern's like, this works. If you split the timeline like 6 times.
The IT student who's like an unpaid internship.
The intern fucked up in this one as well.
Oh no.
With Link returning to his childhood in a different reality, the hero's spirit ceases to be passed down to other Links, so there's no one to stop Ganon from escaping from the Sacred Realm. Bravo.
He's back.
He eventually does, and he used the Triforce of Power to corrupt Hyrule. So he does it again. The absolute
he
madman.
corrupted it even more.
Which forces the gods to flood the kingdom in order to seal him below the ocean. The gods intervened
they didn't know his arc.
Because Link isn't there anymore, so he can't protect. So the gods are like, oh, fuck, and just like flood the land and just seal him below the ocean.
Yeah. Okay.
Wait,
This creates the Great Sea and the islands that dot it. In Wind Waker, Ganondorf emerges from his ocean seal, and Link, a heroic Hylian boy, not descended from the blood of the hero, but still able to wield the Master Sword, embarks on a quest to defeat him.
so it's just Link again.
It's just Link again. Apparently, I think that's why it's specifically the blood of the goddess and the spirit of the hero, because it's 2 different things.
Yeah.
Where like everyone whose royal blood is like could be a Zelda, whereas Link is just sort of the people's hero.
Yeah.
I think that's how they went with it.
Question.
Yes.
So this timeline kind of implements that every time someone time travels in this universe, there's a new timeline.
Which is very interesting to
Earlier,
look into.
we didn't do that. Earlier, we kept on the same timeline.
One of the things about the earlier time travel things, it became like
a loop?
until there's a definite decision. I think that it kind of acts like 2 sort of parallel universes coming in to like parallel with each other for a bit before at the end where the last piece of time travel happens, or the time gates shut off, or the last person crosses across. That's when they depart.
Interesting.
Because there's parts of Ocarina of Time where you're traveling actively back and forth between the 2 parts trying to do stuff. Or like in Majora's Mask where you're traveling back and recycling this entire thing. It's not like there's... it's not...
Doesn't mean there's a bunch of universes out there where that town got destroyed by the moon.
Yeah.
Or...
weak magic systems.
yeah.
Soft magic.
So
system.
it's a soft time travel
Which
system.
I realize when we talk about soft magic system, we should probably just a little explain every time, because I've had people ask me questions. What is a soft magic system? So
Right.
Do you want to just?
We'll do a video. I'll happily put together a video that describes them, or we can all shit talk
Just a
about.
mi-
As a
Just a
quick
mini-
brush,
a mini.
soft means that the creators can do what they want with it, whereas hard is like there are rules that dictate.
Yeah, and there's a scale in between.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Wind Waker. Ganondorf comes out from under the ocean. Link's a cool sailor man who kills him. And Ganondorf is vanquished, and a sunken Hyrule is washed away forever. So was Hyrule sealed underneath the ocean, which just gets fucked at the end of this because...
Yeah, it's under the fucking ocean.
Ganondorf's not there. Link and a royal blood Zelda, disguised as Tetra, who is a pirate, then travel the ocean to find a new continent to settle Hyrule on, because Hyrule under the ocean's dead. They're like, hey, we should make a new one.
Just 2 of them?
Yep.
They're going to make a whole kingdom?
There's 2 of them. The coolest bit about Tetra, Tetra's literally a fucking pirate. So the next game, which is Phantom Hourglass, is literally Link and Zelda's pirate adventures, which is so cool.
Nice.
So that's Phantom Hourglass. Phantom Hourglass, Link and Zelda's voyage is interrupted as they arrive in the world of the Ocean King. Eventually, they defeat the demonic Bellum, return the Ocean King to his true form, and continue on their quest. It's just pirate adventures, just doing pirate things in Pirate Land.
I love pirate adventures.
It's cool as. Pirate. We then get to the... there's a couple of games which I'll get to, which are fucky. And it kind of shows how cobbled together some parts of this timeline are, where they're like, we have a cool idea for a game, and someone in the back room working on the timeline, like, don't fucking do it.
Don't do it.
So with that, we get to Spirit Tracks.
Sorry?
Spirit Tracks.
Spirit Tracks.
At some point, Link and Zelda discover New Hyrule, a continent covered in train tracks.
Oh.
Wait, what?
Oh.
Yep.
Wait, what?
100 years after their discovery, a different Zelda and Link
Of course.
defeat Malladus, who possesses Zelda's body after separating the spirit from it. This is the idea of the game.
So question: were there already people on this place, and they just went like, "You are now our people"? Or
It's
did they
possibly one of
populate
the
it?
ancient runes type things, where there just were train tracks and ancient things. Again, there's a lot of time between a lot of these games.
Did they populate it? Just Link and Zelda populate the entire world?
Yeah, they have more people on their boat.
Okay.
And also, it's like a new
yes.
Hyrule thing where a whole bunch of people are traveling with them.
Okay.
Plus, then it's also the ocean that is shown in Wind Waker is literally like island culture, where they've just all got boats and they've all got islands,
Okay.
and everyone's traveling between islands and everyone's got boats.
It's just like Animal Crossing.
Yeah, it's a little bit
Okay.
nomadic. It's a little bit, pass by.
Cool. I was just
100%.
like, it just can't be the two of them. Surely there's more.
Wink, wink.
No, he's like
I mean,
16.
there's a group that
I don't know how old she is.
Same age.
she's,
Usually.
she's also a reincarnated god. So like,
100%, yeah.
That doesn't change your age.
Don't you make that argument. Anyway, in Spirit Tracks, they re-establish New Hyrule, and then a character called Malladus, who's just a villain, gets defeated by them. And then they have peace in New Hyrule. That's the end of that timeline. One of the cool bits about Spirit Tracks is it's similar to Wind Waker and... Oh my god, I'm sorry.
He's actually died.
It's similar to Wind Waker and Phantom Hourglass in the fact that you use a boat to travel around between a bunch of different sort of main places in this. Except in this, you travel around in a train that has a cannon on it.
I love that. I love how I love how they're like, we want to make a train one. How are we going to do this? Should we have like a few hundred year gap where they build up Industrial Revolution? No. Why don't they just arrive at a continent with train tracks everywhere?
Train tracks.
What? It's like
Incredible.
built into the infrastructure of the society is just train tracks. I love that.
We love old trains. And it's also one of those things of like, did they find old trains or did they just kind of have to guess?
Yeah.
Was it originally
they
train
were
tracks?
just tracks, and they had to fucking figure out what to put on them. That's great. I love that.
It's incredible. And as I said, it's kind of one of those things where someone's like, I have a cool idea for a game. It's Link, but he has a train.
So
And
who's
they're like,
the
"Oh,
evil
fuck."
person in that one?
That one's Malladus. He's just an evil dude.
And he just dies, and then peace and
Just
happiness.
dies. It's not impactful to the lore, and it's also the end of that current timeline
Cool.
bit. So
We did it. We saved the city.
We did the adult one. So that's the child and adult timelines. Those are the different ones at the end of Ocarina
we
of
done?
Time. No,
Fuck.
one more timeline, and then one more side note, and then we're
I
done.
think I know which timeline this is.
So this timeline is a very interesting one. You remember where I said bookmark
Yeah.
just before
Yeah, I
Link
was
walked into
holding
the
up
final
for that.
battle?
There you go. Fuck's sake.
There's a timeline where Link fucking loses. There's a timeline where
always-
Ganon wins and Link just can't do it. There's a whole bunch of implications on the wiki and stuff where it's like, this timeline is for where Link loses the fight, or in other words, where the player just can't be fucked finishing the game.
So when you just die, if you died, you've...
It's Nintendo guilt tripping you for not finishing.
No, it's like
Ocarina of Time.
every time you died, and I imagine it's like every time you die, like in a video game, every time you die, like there's a ultimate universe where your character died and the evil people won. So in
That's
the same
it,
way,
yeah.
like, it's like that. Your character died. You failed to win, and you're the one who caused the universe to go fucking shit.
man, I feel really sorry for all the alternate realities of Skyrim where the Dragonborn failed
Yeah.
because I was running up a mountain and fell to my death by mistake.
When you got killed by like a
too
simple troll.
Yeah,
God damn, so sad. But yes, so Link loses. So this timeline, Ganondorf gains control of the world, and this one has sort of the most nonsensical of the things, because it's usually just sort of like, oh, and then the game ends, and then there's like 1,000 years where we just get kind of a clean slate, and then there's a new one. there's also a lot of reincarnations. Like, a lot of reincarnations.
Okay.
Compared to other
What
ones.
did Ganon do when he beat the world, when he won?
Immediately after Link's defeat in Ocarina of Time, the 7 powerful sages, which Zelda's the leader, as I mentioned, who assisted Link in Ocarina to seal Ganondorf in the Sacred Realm, it becomes... They assisted Link. They then seal him in the Sacred Realm, the Dark World, the Nightmare Realm. So they're like, all right, fuck it. We can't do anything about this. You just have that bit. That's yours now.
So they got their own little bit. So they're just like, yeah, you can have it. Fuck it.
Yeah. So ideally, you'd have that like, again, the world's kind of out of balance without it, but yeah. And of course, Ganondorf is still free to roam in the Sacred Realm, and he's going to do some shit.
Oh, yeah.
For, in A Link to the Past, Ganon, which is different from Ganondorf. The difference between Ganon and Ganondorf is that Ganon, if you ever see like something called like Ganon, you're like, Ganondorf's like a dude, and Ganon is like a pig or a weird spirit or like a beast. That's Ganon. Ganondorf's the dude. Ganon is like the pig or the spirit or like, you know, the twisted kind of incarnation.
So they're like the same spirit, but like different forms.
Right.
Different forms, absolutely,
Okay.
yes.
So one's like a dude and one's like a demon form.
Link laughs nervously as his farmer walks by, shouting at a pig, "Come on, Ganon, get out of the trough."
The pig.
Link's like, what did you say? Why did you say that name?
It's time for bacon,
My
boys.
pig!
Why did you gets like the sword out stabbing this farm? Like, why did you say that?
The chosen hero walks onto your farm.
Yeah, start stabbing pigs.
What the fuck are the name of these hoes?
What's the name of your pigs?
Starts going from farm to farm, slaughtering the pigs.
Oh, God. That's a dark timeline.
As another thing, Ganon is not also just hogs or spirits. He can also twist himself into other forms. Ganondorf is like the dude Ganondorf, who you know as Ganondorf and Ganondorf, whereas all other incarnations of him where he can change his form is Ganon. So in this one, he turns himself into like a wizard sort of like squat creature with like a big wrap around his face called Agnim. I really should have practiced pronouncing these, but I think it's Agnim. Agahnim. Agnim.
My name is Agnim.
See, I will say, I can quickly say, you're doing very good with pronouncing weird words, because Lord of the Rings, I may flex them, but you literally get a cheat guide in the back of the Silmarillion. There's like an entire 20-page chapter dedicated to here is how you pronounce the Elven language.
See, I cheated by going on YouTube and watching videos of these.
Agnim. My name is Agnim and I'm a wizard. What does he do?
Basically, not much else of interest happens. Link defeats Aghanim in the normal world, and then Link uses the Triforce to restore normal Hyrule to normal. Sacred Realm still fucky.
That's unfortunate.
So that Sacred Realm part, is that like half of Hyrule? Half of it is like...
Yeah, so it's like a pocket, as I mentioned, it's like a pocket dimension, like an elemental, like side plane.
Yeah.
It's not like anyone actively, as Jude said, it's like the Feywild. I don't know how to say in a normal world sort of idea.
Yeah.
I guess it would be kind of like, there's no real Christian approximation.
Is it like in for people that probably know Stranger Things more than D&D? Perhaps is it like the upside down?
The upside down,
almost?
yeah. Yes, in an idea, sort of a smaller version of it.
Yeah,
Though.
it's like a pocket realm dimension kind of thing. That's like a flip side of the real world, I guess.
So Link defeats Agahnim or Ganon in the Dark World. So he's gone. The Dark World's still there, and he uses it to turn Hyrule back to normal. It didn't say in the wiki whether that included the Dark World, but I'm gonna kind of assume it does.
He did it. We saved the city.
100%. So then Link's Awakening. So right now we're going through A Link to the Past, which is 1992. Link's Awakening, 1993, and then it goes down.
Can I ask one question?
Yes.
Every time we get the Triforce, he has infinite wishes, right?
Yes.
Why does he not keep that? Why is he like split it up? Give one part to Ganon.
He can't split it. He cannot split it up. So
what happens every
that
time?
happens when they get unbalanced with virtues, and that can sometimes happen as a result of them making a wish. If you're like, I want to be the ruler of the world, then obviously you're going to be way more powerful than anything else.
I guess.
So that can unbalance your virtues as well. So it's kind of a
okay.
So does
Which is
Link
why-
ever split it up on purpose?
There's times when it is split up on purpose by Zelda. I don't know if Link ever does. Link's usually the one who's bringing it all back together,
Yeah,
but
he's doing all the work.
He gets the shit.
I'm sure it's possible. So Link's Awakening, same Link as A Link to the Past, embarks on an adventure on Collet Island, only to discover it was a dream. So, yeah, unfortunate, but very non-impactful. Link's Awakening was a dream.
The entire game's a dream.
It's fine,
Nice.
just ignore it. Next, Oracle of Season and the Oracle of Ages. The Oracle games start the same Link from the past again, and he's transported to the lands of Holodrum and Labyrinthia by the Triforce, where he defeats an even beastlier version of Ganon, which has been revived. Again, it's sort of Link like, hey, you're the one who knows how to deal with this shit, come here.
So they dragged him through time to deal with this shit.
Kind of through multiple dimensions.
I feel sorry for Link.
Lands. One of the other things to look at is if you look at like a Hyrule world map, it's like you can. Breath of the Wild has a fairly similar one. You can walk across it in like 2 days.
I've got a Hyrule map on my wall, actually.
Yeah, it's not big. It's not massive. The worlds in this aren't like Earth. It's like 2 days across.
Yeah.
So my suspicion is for them, like reality is just a series of pocket dimensions of like not that big an area,
sense.
and there's gates and temples that kind of link everything together. And whether that becomes myth or not depends on how long it's been since they've been accessed, or whether it's accessed at all. And yeah,
That makes sense.
again, I'm not extremely well educated on this, but that's sort of what I understand it to be.
Awesome.
Story of Link Between Worlds. So then the Oracle of Ages. So he defeats the other beastly Ganon. So he's an expert Ganon defeater. So they drag him to another realm, and he defeats Ganon again. And at some point during the Oracle games, the Triforce is also split up again into the other three pieces.
Yeah, they just keep getting fucking split up.
It keeps getting split up. It's fine.
And it's like fucking Link just kept dragging. I feel sorry for these Links. Imagine realizing your name's Link. You're like,
Imagine being a god-slaying knight.
yeah, but you have to deal with everyone's shit. Everyone drags you across time at the age of 16 or 9 sometimes. Has to deal with shit.
Yeah,
Imagine
you make a good point.
the like daddy or mummy issues you have if you're raised by a fucking tree.
The Deku Tree took good care of him.
Maybe the tree is a really good parent. Yeah.
How do you know that?
Next up, Link Between Worlds. Link Between Worlds closely mirrors A Link to the Past, which is from before, the one where the Seven Sages locked him inside the Dark World, and then Link went into the Dark World. But it takes place long afterwards. So Hyrule begins to become overcome with an invasion from Lorule, a dark version of Hyrule that resembles the Link to the Past Dark World, but is another place again. Again, pocket dimensions are most of this dimension's reality.
Yeah.
Yes, I love this. I love low rule.
Lorule's Princess Hilda attempts to steal Hyrule's Triforce to restore Lorule to its former glory, but is unsuccessful. So Link and Zelda then defeat their forces, take the Triforce back, and then do an absolute solid by wishing for prosperity for both Hyrule and Lorule. So they're like, hey, you know what? We, as much as you did kind of fuck up our kingdom and are very aggressive, we've sealed off your area. I hope you guys go well. You know, we'll give you a wish.
We like that. We like that.
And then the Triforce goes somewhere else. Next up, this one's kind of fun. Triforce Heroes. Quote, in what is probably the least consequential of the mainline Zelda games, Triforce Heroes takes the link from A Link Between Worlds, so the link of A Link Between Worlds. It's like the person Link, not the link between the worlds, the link that is the hero.
Yep.
To the land of Hytopia for a journey about fashion.
Oh.
Wait,
I will
what?
read for you now.
Wait.
I will read for you now the plot of
I'm
Triforce
ready.
Heroes.
This is my.
Oh, look at that, Matt. It's time for you. You got to go to dinner, Matt.
Oh shit! No, I'm ready for this game. I'm pumped. This sounds like the best game so
Alright.
far.
Triforce Heroes takes place in Hytopia, a kingdom whose citizens are obsessed with fashion. Princess Styla holds a great power over Hytopia until a witch known as the Lady curses her, forcing an unremovable brown jumpsuit upon her.
Oh my god, this is amazing. Styler?
King Tuft.
Styler?
Hytopia's ruler and Styla's father is devastated by the curse and sends out a call for a hero who can lift it. While many answer the call, the king believes the true hero is the one who fulfills a prophecy that tells of 3 heroes coming together to form a totem pole.
What?
This hero is revealed to be Link, the same hero who saved Hyrule and Lorule in A Link Between Worlds. He and 2 teammates travel to the Drablands, where they master dungeons by solving the Drablands. Where they master dungeons by solving puzzles and defeating enemies. In doing so, the 3 vanquish the lady, allowing them to lift the princess's curse. Link, King Tuft, Princess Styler, and the people of Hytopia celebrate the hero's success. Now, it's so dumb.
So, can we mention a few things there? One, I like how the curse is wearing a fucking brown jumpsuit. Like
an unremovable brown jumpsuit.
I wouldn't mind. Like that's not the worst curse you can get from a wizard called...
It's a fashion-obsessed society, though.
The lady?
The lady is the enemy,
What's that? What sort of name is that?
It's a villain. And the totem pole thing is because the game itself, Triforce Heroes, is focused on 3-player multiplayer. You can do this in single player using like controllable like bean robots that you can move one by one, or you can play it in 3-player multiplayer because it was on the 3DS and they were sort of having a go at the local multiplayer functions. The game didn't do amazingly, but it is well known in the Zelda fandom because it's fucking funny.
What I'm imagining is because they're a totem pole, they have to walk around 3 on top of each other.
No, they do. That's part of the puzzle is that they stand on each other's head.
Amazing. I love it.
Yeah, it's because I think there's like a puzzle that they solve during the initiation ceremony or something like that. It's fucking funny.
That's great.
It's funny as.
Great. Fuck me.
Right.
What?
Two more games in this timeline. One more game and then we're done.
Princess Styler. Fuck me.
Next game is the first game in the entire series that was produced, 1987 Legend of Zelda, which happens after Fashion
He gets
Adventure.
a sword from a random wizard.
Years after A Link Between Worlds, a worried king of Hyrule separates the 3 parts of the Triforce and hides them away.
How did he do
king's
it?
Princess. I don't know. The king's daughter, another reincarnation of Zelda, is put into a magical sleep after failing to inform her brother of the Triforce of Courage's location.
Who did it?
So
Who put her to sleep?
She just does. I think she gets cursed.
For her dad?
This is something that isn't in the games.
enough.
You just start off as Link and you just do shit. So, without the full power of the Triforce, which I don't know why the king got fucking rid of it, Hyrule declines until it is a small regional power.
They're like, oh shit, this thing's too powerful, but we need it to keep the kingdom. Might as well split
Precisely.
it up. Fuck me.
I mean, it's like having atom bombs and then realizing that you really need atom bombs.
It's like, oh, we should get rid of all atom bombs, but sir, the enemy has atom bombs. No, but we need to get rid of them all. They're dangerous. We got rid of atom bombs.
Yeah.
Sir, now they can send atom bombs. Oh fuck.
Yeah. So that's awesome. Later still, Ganon returns once again in the original Legend of Zelda and steals the Triforce of Power, which they do know where it is. A second Princess Zelda, which is a descendant of the first princess's brother, splits the Triforce of Wisdom into 8 pieces to protect it from Ganon.
Wait, so there's one still sleeping, isn't there?
One still sleeping.
There's 2 Zeldas.
The Triforce, 100%. The Triforce of Strength is with Ganon. The Triforce of Courage is with Link, and the Triforce of Wisdom
is with New Zelda.
Oh wait, no, Triforce of Courage isn't. So Triforce of Courage is lost. Triforce of Strength is with Ganon, and the Triforce of Wisdom is split into 8 pieces, which is what you collect through the original Zelda game.
That's just Dragon Ball.
Link gathers the 8 pieces of the Triforce of Wisdom, which was split up to protect it from Ganon, and then uses it to kill Ganon.
I mean, who split it up?
Which seems fairly roundabout.
Who split it up?
Huh?
Who split it up?
Zelda, the second Zelda.
Why? Then
I don't know.
She split it up and it's like, oh shit, Link.
A lot of this seems to be undoing stuff that the good guys do.
Yeah.
Again, these are all like wiki summaries, and so it's not exactly like I have the perfect picture and knowledge.
Yeah.
I still love
But they seem fairly counterintuitive.
None of this has been the bad guys done anything. The good guys just fuck it up.
A new Link then recovers the pieces of the Triforce of Wisdom and defeats Ganon.
Oh, well,
This
good
is
job.
Pig Ganon. So that's the original game. Immediately the year after that, 1988, the second Zelda game released, which is The Adventure of Link. That same Link hears from The Legend of Zelda, hears that the first the first Princess Zelda is still sleeping. And he decides that he needs the Triforce of Courage to undo it.
Right.
So
he then goes out,
He's not happy having
gets the
one
Triforce.
girlfriend Zelda. He wants a second girlfriend Zelda.
I know. He then goes out, gets the Triforce of Courage, and
which is
wakes
her
Zelda
aunt?
up, which means we now have 2
Is it
Zeldas.
aunt or great aunt or whatever? Is it an aunt or great
Yeah.
aunt or whatever?
It's descendant.
Yeah. Somewhere
It could
down
be
the
a
line.
locked in
Very,
ice
very, very
for
interesting.
7 years, or it could be a
Yeah,
1,000 years
exactly.
longer.
So now we have 2 Zeldas.
So that's the end of that
Sounds
timeline,
like
where
good for Link.
everything's fine because they woke up Zelda and apparently they're chill.
Hey, Link got 2 girlfriends now. It's great.
So we have the 3 of them finishing off, where everything's peaceful in most of them, where
Yeah.
Ganon's sealed off and all that sort of
Cool.
stuff.
We don't need any more Zelda games. Whoa, we did it.
There's one last game to
Oh.
go, and you might have noticed that it was missing because I described it
new
right at
one.
the beginning. Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, Breath of the Wild, 1 game to go.
One of the few games I've actually heard of.
Now, this game has Link wandering around like a ruined Hyrule. Like, every so often there's burnt out buildings
Oh.
and ruins and destruction. And like old technology. In this universe, it's been like thousands of years, and Hyrule managed to prosper and make some really cool shit. Like iPads.
So is it in the timeline we were just talking about?
I'll get to it. They made iPads and mechs. The iPads let you like produce stuff. There's a thing where you can like use a magnet to like lift shit up, like if it's made of metal, which is super cool. There's also one that can summon bombs. There's one
Did
that
you say magnets?
magnets.
Also, did you say mechs?
Yeah, they made mechs. They made animal mechs. There's an elephant mech, a camel mech, oh no, my brain, a lizard mech, and a bird mech.
Okay.
So these are all like great defenders of the land. They've all got like laser beam cannons and stuff like that,
Yeah.
and they're super cool.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Ganon comes along,
Of course he fucking does.
And he destroys it all, I'm assuming.
and instead, what he does is he enslaves all of the mech protectors. There's also these things called guardians, which
Yeah.
are enemies in the game because they're like imagine a dinner plate and then a mug. And that mug's got a big eye on it, and it's also got like octopus legs underneath it.
Interest. Are they all like that?
That's what that's what the Guardians are like, those specific creatures. The mechs are the animals that I talked about.
Is this a race we've known about in the past?
No.
or is
So this
the
isn't
new
a race. These are the mechs. These are like mechatronic guardians of like this new Hyrule that's created all this cool tech.
So like mechs created more tech,
No. Hylians created more tech.
and the guardians have been created to
Protect
the
them.
mechs.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like robot guards.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah, and they've also got the Sheikah tablet. What's it called? I think it's called a Sheikah tablet. I'm totally sure that I got that wrong, but that's the tablet which allows them to do like the cool stuff. It also functions as a camera. Which
Oh,
is
the
kinda cool.
iPad.
The iPad.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, what happens before, everything's going very well, so, of course, guess who's got to show up? It's Ganon. He's back.
He's back.
so
He's
Ganon-
better than ever.
Yeah, Ganon...
So if he's called Ganon, what's his form this
Ganon's
time?
like in this, he takes a couple of forms. He actually has 4 distinct, like, spirit creatures that he sort of splits into, plus one, how to describe it? It's like a pig's head with ghost behind it.
Okay.
So
get
imagine,
behind
like,
this.
you know how a ghost's got that sort of raggedy bottom? Like that, but with, like, the head of the ghost being like a pig. And it sort of is like it's almost like a serpentine ghost hog demon. It's a demon, is what it is.
It's just a fucking demon.
It's just a demon. It's a Ganon. So Ganon uses
Ganon.
his nasty power and
Nasty.
infects a lot of the tech creatures around the world. So the Guardians
Mechs
are all
and stuff.
turned against the citizens of Hyrule. The beasts all start to rebel, and like it's chaos because there are a lot of these guys, and they all have eye lasers.
That makes sense. Yeah, that would be bad.
So that goes fairly poorly. So what do we have to do? In this, there's Princess Zelda is again the daughter of the king. She basically sacrifices herself to seal Ganon away for 100 years in Hyrule Castle. So when you come into the game, it's like total ruins. And if you look at Hyrule Castle, there's like this big, like dark energy bubble around it where Ganon's like trapped in there. And he's been trapped for like 100 years. Because during the Battle of Hyrule, where everything's being destroyed, Link is majorly wounded. and they're like, fuck, oh well, we'll stick him in the temple, which I should have. I relied on my own knowledge of the game for this part of the script, which is worse than I thought it was. But they essentially stick him in a temple where he can regenerate. It's like the Pokemon regenerating bed for your Pokemon, except it takes like 100 years.
It's like normal healing.
Normal healing, yeah, basically, except for the fact that he doesn't age. And in that time, Hyrule essentially wipes all the ruins away, and all these ruined and blasted areas are swept away. All the dead are moved, and the pieces of Hyrule shatter. Ganon wakes up. So Link wakes up around the same time as Ganon's about to be broken out of Zelda's seal. And lo and behold, here comes Link wandering around the ruins of Hyrule, gathering weapons and armor and powers, so that way he can take on Ganon. He attacks Ganon and kills him. Now, where does this go in the timeline? Which Ganon is this?
So question.
Yes.
So he was just... They put him in the thing just because he was injured, so they needed more time, so they just trapped him for 100 years.
Yeah, pretty much.
They just need more time.
Yeah.
But, so did the people like rise up and defeat all the bots eventually?
They defeated enough of them. Around the ruins of Hyrule Castle, there are dormant guardians, essentially.
Yeah.
The other thing is, with Ganon trapped, the influence waned a bit. As you're waking up, if you listen to the conversations from the villagers who you're saving, the mechs are sort of being nasty boys.
They're reawakening.
They're reawakening, 100%. Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
And the people there are like, oh, it's beginning to do this. It's been doing this for like a year or so, we kind of get the idea of. Okay. So it's sort of Ganon coming out of his seal is creating this sort of thing. So when Ganon was sealed away, it's sort of implied that most of the Guardians sort of went to sleep. Apart from, outside of Hyrule Castle, there's a shitload of them for two reasons. One, it's Hyrule Castle. Obviously, it'd have the most guards there. And two, because the battle with Zelda and Ganon, the Guardians were all mobbing on there to come and attack.
Yeah, it's close to Ganon, so you probably takes control out of them.
So as you get near to Hyrule Castle, it's very funny, because when Guardians attack you, they have like a little tracking laser eye beam, and you can walk straight up to Hyrule Castle at the start of the game, and it's very funny as a first-time player, walking up to the castle, and just hearing like of like the tracking laser, and going like, I'm not meant to be here, and just running.
They're just like 8 snipers on your position.
It's a really cool game. I very much enjoy it. So, Ganon and the normal sync happens where Link defeats the Ganon spirit that is inhabiting each of the mechs, and then they all recombine and become main Ganon, and then main Ganon is killed at the end of that game, etc., etc. Hyrule is then, as for currently, back to normal. There is Breath of the Wild 2, which is coming out in 2021. But the interesting bit about this game, where did Nintendo decide to put it in the timeline?
Which one? Where
they put it at the end of all three. All three timelines converge on Breath of the Wild.
Right, okay. So no matter which timeline you take as your timeline,
you always get here.
You will always end up in that.
Now, whether that's a thing of like, infinite choices, I've written here monkeys typewriters Shakespeare.
Yeah,
which I think you know the saying of, if you give infinite monkeys infinite typewriters, they'll eventually write Shakespeare.
Yeah. And enough for it.
So whether it's that or the fact that Nintendo just went, fuck it, and just put them all together.
Yeah.
Well, it's like one monkey and one typewriter. If you give it infinite time, it'll eventually write out.
100%, yeah. No, and the other part of it is also... the thing of another part of it is the fact that if you look at the games, it is called The Legend of Zelda. It's not called, The Facts of Zelda or The Truth of Zelda. These are all entirely possibly just stories and myths and legends of this hero and the beast and the princess. Yeah. Which, to be totally honest, could have been created after the war happened with Ganon and Zelda and Link, and it's like the prophesized hero is on an infinite cycle. Maybe it's a religion created around it. Maybe they did happen. Maybe, again, the Nintendo timeline is non-specific on it. It is, it's fairly specific that this is the timeline, but the fact that it's inconsistent could lead to that outcome or that conclusion.
They probably just wanted to clean it up a little bit, just to make it easier for you to know what's going on. But it does kind of make sense that they all get to this certain it's inevitable, it's fate that all timelines will converge on this point. That it'll always happen. Doesn't matter how much time has gone.
this is the inevitable fate of the world. And there's probably games in between on the timelines you could probably put, but like this is where the point where it'll eventually get to, which kind of makes sense.
There's some very funny videos out there of people trying to put the timeline together. There's one particularly from a guy called Brian David Gilbert where he just goes on a massive rant about it, and he eventually concludes that it must be Zelda Monopoly, where Zelda buys up all the land in the kingdom and in all the timelines and forces them all back together through the power of the Triforce.
Nice.
Of course.
Which is the way that he gets Nintendo. Because there is also things like Link's crossbow training and a bunch of other games which aren't included in the official timeline. They're just sort of ignored, which is hilarious to me because they decided to include Triforce Heroes, a game about fashion, and not random other games.
I have.
We know what their priorities are.
I've heard from like the new game is that they'll have like references to all 3 timelines in the new game, which is interesting because like how could they all exist? But like that makes sense. Like if they did bind all the times together, they all existed, they all happened, so they all kind of because there was I remember, I don't know, I was just looking it up. I haven't actually played the game, but I was just looking. I came across it. It was like. And that was really interesting how they must have been combined at some point because
Breath of the Wild 2 doesn't come out until 2021 or 2022.
Hey, we'll see.
But yes, a lot of people are very excited about it, and because they released the Hyrule Historia and put out this timeline, people are like majorly interested in it.
Yeah.
And people have criticized their decision to do it, but ultimately it's a very interesting creative decision to go with, and it kind of makes sense in a really weird way.
It makes sense, it's cool, it's interesting, and they'd be criticized whichever direction they pick. So may as well pick the cool one.
So Breath of the Wild is the latest game. It's really awesome. If you have a chance, go and play it. It's really good.
You need a Switch.
I really, really like the game, okay? It's a fun game.
I have a Switch.
Suck eggs. Buy one with your girlfriend. No. So yeah, that's Breath...
That's a double burn on that is.
So yes, that's Legend of Zelda, as close as I can get as a person who hasn't played most of the games. A summary of the timelines that are, and the timelines that will be. So yeah, Breath of the Wild finishes off and creates a little connection at the end, which is
nice.
A very cool sort of thing. And the idea of this sort of recurring monomyth was very interesting to me as I was writing this, of like the different contextualizations of the same story. And if you look at the modern monomyth of writing, if you look at the hero's journey, like the fact that all journeys and all good stories, quote unquote, follow sort of the same pattern, it's like that on a religious almost scale, which is really cool.
Yeah, it's the bound sequels will always happen because it's bound into the law that they can. It's like they have an excuse to make another one because hey, the law says there should be go on forever, so let's keep making games. Yeah,
it's good.
So they get a little bit of an excuse to do that, but they can also have fun with the games and like mix them up a little bit because it's not always the same exactly.
Make Triforce Heroes and Spirit Tracks.
Yeah.
So yeah, I hope that's all been very interesting.
Spirit Tracks is my favorite.
Well, I've gone from knowing you heard me at the start of the episode, my knowledge of Zelda was limited to, Zelda's the one in the green hat, right? To now knowing about the friggin' multiverses and pocket dimensions and 3 timelines and Breath of the Wild.
My favorite thing about the Zelda universe is that they just have so many fucking magical items. If you like put them all together at the very end, you'd have like 100 to 200 just fucking plot points. Just like not only the ones that just don't do anything, open doors, but the ones that like there are actually magic items that make you be able to do stuff. They're actually, and like there's so many of them. Holy
I should have mentioned that Wind Waker, he has a boat that can talk.
Fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah.
What's it called?
I want to hear another video.
I don't remember. I haven't played the game. I just know of it.
That's amazing.
There's goof videos about it.
Yeah, I read the Hyrule Historia for this, and there are so many details and so much stuff that's in it, and there's this constant battle in my mind of like, they've put so much thought into this, wow, versus like, this is so dumb.
Yeah, it's kind of, I feel like it's a mixture of like what was the, it's a mixture of trying to like the games we talked about before, which is like it's a mixture of Hollow Knight, but also a mixture of Team Fortress 2, whereas they made a game and now they're trying to make lore around it more than they made. But in the future games, they also have like left hints and stuff for the fans to pick up to make sense of their own. So it's kind of similar. Like the first few games, they probably didn't really mean to make this huge story. They were just making a game and then like, oh yeah, there's a story as well. But now they've tried to make this huge story as part of it. As games have moved to more further less towards the actual game and more towards story. Like Yeah.
So if you look at the first two games, they're both in the Link loses timeline, like right at the end, which is The Legend of Zelda and The Adventure of Link. And then if you go to the next game in the series, if I'm not wrong, it is 1992, A Link to the Past. Hang on. 1987. I'm just checking out my notes. Yeah, 1992, A Link to the Past, and then 1993, Link's Awakening, both of which are also in the timeline of Link Loses. But then in 2000, they do Majora's Mask, which is right at the beginning of Child Link. And then there's also 1998, where they do Ocarina of Time, which is at the start of the thing. So it doesn't feel like it was necessarily made intentionally, but it's come together in a very interesting way. And
which I think is cool and nice.
Yeah,
it's very neat.
Oh, good.
So does that wrap us up?
That's all good.
Awesome. Well, time to plug for the episode. If you enjoyed this episode, everyone, we do.
What do you mean? If obviously I enjoyed it. Come on.
As
we talked about
if you got
SeaWorld.
this far, I'm guessing you enjoyed the episode. If you didn't stop listening by now, it would be much appreciated if you guys could, if you have the time, review us on iTunes. It really does help and encourage us to do what we're doing and bring to us. We enjoy doing this, but
it's nice to get external validation.
Exactly. We always love we all love validation.
Please validate us. We're really self-conscious.
Also, we do have we are on Twitter and Facebook at Living by the Law, of course. Have a look at us there. We do post regularly when the videos. Well, I currently going through exam period, so I'm less regular than I should be. But hopefully
trying
when
our
I get
best.
out, I'm gonna get more regular. Hopefully, I'll try and get better. It's my bad. I'm the social media man, so I'll try and get better. But you two both have access to social media, so you can post stuff as well.
I got exams too, my man, and it's not my job, so I got an excuse.
What is your job?
I do animation. And I'd make a logo once.
That is true. Your logo is very, very good. Very good. But yeah,
He's the face of the podcast.
He's
when
the
we
most
don't show our
beautiful of
faces.
Doubt. Disagree.
we also have also we don't have anything else. Share it with your friends. A great way to encourage people to watch the podcast. Even probably better than reviewing us on iTunes.
Watch the podcast, yeah.
Literally listening to the next one, or just sharing with a friend, showing whoever you think is would enjoy it next. The more we spread, the more we can do for you guys, and the more we can make the work that's more professional.
Yep, 100%.
Because we're so professional.
We're so good at this.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
Eventually, we're gonna get in the proper. We're gonna get a proper recording room.
One day.
Eventually,
One day.
one day.
man. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.
Is this when we say the awkward good night? Good afternoon,
we not already
Okay,
done
I'll
that?
say good morning. Good morning.
good day?
Nah.
For fuck's sake,
I'm not going to help you. You have to make your own fucking content. I already did the episode. You
You're
do the
worst.
outro.
You're actually
Fuck
the
you
worst.
guys.
Okay, we're done.
Bye.
No. I got to talk more about Minish Cap.
No.
I need to talk about Link and his cool fashion
Thank you
adventure.
for listening.
Fuck you.
Fuck you. If you enjoyed our podcast, please leave us a review on iTunes and tell your friends. The link is in the description, and thank you in advance. Also, follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Living by the Law to keep updated on all the latest about our podcast. We have been, and always will be, living by the law. Thank you for your company, and good night.